Going live now.
Yeah.
Let me know when you
That's it.
see it on YouTube. I have
So
to hit.
what's going on, guys? How you been?
Good, buddy. Going in for a shift here in about an hour, and then I get to go home in the morning.
Are you going to go home this time?
Yes.
Okay.
I may even get on the motorcycle tomorrow. Supposed to be in the 70s and 80s the next couple of days.
I was just going to ask that.
There could be some two-wheeling.
There you go. Take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
With the ATV?
I might do that one too.
You said two-wheeling, and I automatically went to the ATV.
No, that's got four.
Yeah. Hey, because I was watching one the other day. Back in the 80s, I rode one with three wheels.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I guess they outlawed them or something, right?
Oh, really? Yeah.
So we got Tomas. We got Rick Halber.
Tomas.
Timeless Truth.
What's up, guys? Rick, how you doing?
Same way, Ariel. What's up, man? Oh, you guys are typing. Hello. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. There's the man, the legend, Peter Carroll.
Rick, are you going to jump in? I sent you an email. I tried to send everybody a blind carbon copy so they can jump in if they want. Where is that link on here? Invite. Okay, let me copy that.
So, are you guys taking that plunge on the new bird that just came out?
No.
You, Ron?
I'd like to. I mean, the specs sound pretty good, but I'm trying to be a good boy and behave. I kind of made myself a promise about a month ago from a financial standpoint, and I'm trying to stick to it.
All right.
So,
but not only that, it's the IMX sensor that I was talking about when I came back from CES that Autel was using in their bird.
The quad bear?
It's a tiny little 0.06 is the pixel size, and it's got that quad Bayer filter. Ron, you remember this chat, right? We went through that whole quad Bayer filter and the 4x4 pixel binning,
right,
in order to get the 48 megapixel shot.
Right.
They're adding all kinds of funky crap, but they didn't add anything that matters. And what matters is, let's go over to Pixhawk, the Cube. The Cube Orange has 3 IMUs and 3 GPSs in it. Okay, what's the new Mavic Air 2 got? 1 IMU sensor, 1 GPS sensor. The ADS-B is only for the United States. It doesn't apply to any European sales.
Right.
Although they use ADS-B over there, DJI decided to not give them that option.
Right. You know, another thing I saw what bothered me with they're saying that it's out with this APAS 3 now.
Yeah.
But the drone does not have tops collision avoidance sensors. And every time I've used my APAS, just to test it and play around with it, whenever it sees an object, not only does it go around it, but it also climbs.
Yes.
So what's it going to do? Boom, run into something. Yeah.
I think I did try that once, actually, the APAS that I have on the Mavic 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked pretty good. Now, on the Mavic 2 Pro, you do have that upward sensor.
Right.
But it's the side sensors that don't work.
I know.
I
Only
forgot.
tripod mode.
Yeah. Why the hell put them on now?
Yeah.
I don't fly with mine anyway. I disable them unless I'm really close to something.
Well, that's just it. I don't use them either. And this bird also doesn't have the side sensors. And if it did, I don't know. You know what? This is a jump up from the regular Spark, from the regular Mavic Air.
I'd say, yeah, definitely.
But it's a 12 megapixel sensor.
Now my question is, it has to it's stitching the photos for the
Yes.
48 megapixels.
Yes.
Now, does it take the shot like the zoom does? Because the zoom takes a 48 megapixel picture, and it's part of the God, what is I don't play with that stuff a lot. The autonomous shots that you're able to take.
I know.
The quick shots.
Yeah.
So when I do that shot, it takes, you got to go into the whole setting and set up the quick shot, and then it takes the picture. Or does this picture just one single photo shot? It takes a 48 megapixel picture.
And I'm trying to understand how it does 8K
In time lapse.
time lapse.
Well, it only does that the 48 megapixels in JPEG, not in RAW.
Yeah.
So
Which shows you it can't handle it in processing.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm one of those ones too. I don't jump on the bandwagon.
So it must not be using the 10-bit depth. You know what I'm saying? Because if it can't do RAW. Hey, there's Matt.
Hey, there's Matt.
On the road again.
What's up, Matt?
Can't wait to get on the road again. What's going on, fellas?
We can
What's
hear
going
you.
on?
What happening?
Oh, bugger all, mate.
You on the road on your way to work?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, on my way to work today.
That's about damn time. What a slacker.
Gotta make the
how long's the
money.
drive, Matt? How long's the drive to work from your home?
Oh, only about 20 minutes, mate. It's not too bad.
Matt, I know you can't see the chat, but Margie jumped in. And what does she say? Matt.
Not Jim.
Hey,
Not Jim.
Matt.
Not Ron. Not Al. Matt.
Margie. You know that one.
Doctor
Yes,
says
I
you
was
was
on my-
important. You was going to act impotent.
That's funny.
Yeah, man.
You gotta admit, Jim, that's pretty damn funny.
Now, Margie
I
wants
love
to know
that.
where Matt's going. If she had listened, you just said he's going to work.
Yeah, she just popped in.
Well, she was
Yeah,
trying to
off to work. Hey?
she was just trying to catch him before he, got to work, and she sends little kisses or something that she's little hearts.
She missed you.
Uh-huh.
Those are thanks, Doc. Like thanking a doctor. Thanks, Doc. Well, you got two paramedics on here, so
Yeah.
That's good enough.
That'll do.
Yeah.
So, Matthew.
Yes, mate.
Were you fully and adequately impressed with the Mavic Air 2? Enough to make you get one?
I wouldn't get one over the Mavic 2 Pro.
Right.
But the Mavic Air definitely has got a place with the 60 frame, the 240 frames. Oh my God, unbelievable! 8K hyperlapse.
Yeah.
Right.
Now the Mavic 2 Pro can only do 1080p
And 30 frames per second on the 4K. But look at the quality of the 4K.
Oh mate, there's no denying it. It's a great bloody camera. And the Mavic Air as well. Now, as you said, each drone for a purpose. And there's a purpose for the Mavic 2 Pro, the Mavic Air. I certainly wouldn't be using it. I mean, I'm not too sure. Can you adjust the aperture on those things as well or not? Probably not.
No,
I don't know. You
I
got to
don't
be
know.
careful, Matt. You can't be adding another one into your household. You're going to have an all-out cat fight.
Matt, you can't adjust the camera settings either.
What do you mean? You can't do shutter speed and all that sort of shit?
I should say the camera style, like +1, 0, +2. The saturation, contrast.
Oh.
Yeah, you can't fiddle with that stuff.
Okay. Well, that's not too bad because you can do any of that in post. And if anything, those changes that you do make on the cameras of the Mavic 2 or even the Mavic 1 series, they can either go too much or too less. So having a middle ground with the Air I'm kind of guessing that it is set as best as that camera will do. So mucking around, as you've seen in some of my stuff too, mucking around with the saturation and all that sort of shit really isn't necessary. And a lot of that was just an experiment of mine to see what the camera can do, you know. So, but under normal circumstances, I wouldn't be running +3 saturation. You know what I mean? You can do that all in post. So having that control, that's not a deal breaker for me either. As long as I've got shutter on that,
Who is this?
which I'm kind of,
Never mind. Somebody made a nasty chat remark.
Oh, Mr. Orange.
Yeah. I'm sorry,
nasty.
Matt. The guy said a bad thing about you, and I had to knock him off for it.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Hey, Pete Carroll joined us.
Matt, you're known worldwide now. You're part of that worldwide flight cinematographer free crew.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Fantastic, mate. What a thing. There's a couple of them I just have to put in a few different. A couple have still got to submit their videos, but Enrique is going to be editing all that up on Friday.
What are you doing? Leaving the U.S. out of this? Because Ron and I didn't get Al didn't get a request for videos.
Ron should have get a request of the area he lives in. He could
Yeah.
have shot some nice cinematic stuff for those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a Canadian representation. I don't know if there's an American one.
Yeah. Again.
Well, obviously not.
Hey, let's say
Yeah,
hello
probably-
to Pete Carroll, Nathaniel Lee, Mitch from Old Guy in a Drone,
What's up,
Art
guys?
here, Art Go Drone. I don't want to leave anybody out because I know there's a bunch of streams running. That's why we started at 8:30, because I saw Sean went up at 8, and I didn't want to get in the way of his people. I think we're caught up, right? Stingray, I said. Margie, Pete Carroll, Nathaniel Lee, Tom. Okay. All right. Joining veterans here, too. Michael McReynolds. Hey, Mike.
Stingray says they don't want the USA. They don't want no representation from the US.
Yeah.
Can't say the world if US ain't representing.
Just like the World
Come
Series
on.
baseball, hey,
Come on.
who include nobody else except the US.
I always wondered where the hell that World Series came from.
Matt, we can do those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, no, obviously.
But every time you try and start these sports over in other countries, you guys don't like it. They've been trying for how many years? 20 years to do NFL in England. Maybe you guys will come for one show, one game, and that's it. Just can't get a league going over there.
You know what? You'll find too that every country just about has their national sport, you know, and that happens to be, you know, in England, that's what we call soccer, but it's their football.
Yeah.
You know, the US has baseball and gridiron, and Canada has ice hockey. You know, and to try and introduce another national sport, it's near impossible.
Well, don't you have you got rugby and football and soccer all in one, right? Over there?
Yeah, well, basically rugby in the eastern states. The rest of the states are all AFL football. Soccer's not real huge, and then summer we've got cricket. So basically it's AFL, which covers the whole country, which our football and cricket for summer. They're our two major sports.
Is there anything more boring than cricket? Who made that one up? The English?
Yeah, the English, mate, I think, yeah.
That's right up there with watching golf.
Well, it's better than the Americans who invented, what was it? Rebellion Against the Crown. That's a fun game.
I haven't heard.
Yeah.
Oh, so this works. You can hear me. Good day, everybody.
Is that the
Oh,
new,
shit, how are you,
How you
Larry?
doing?
is that the new set,
didn't-
Harry?
Yeah, mate, new machine. First time online with it, so it seems to be working. That's good.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent.
I've got the air conditioning going because after all, it's nearly winter. If it's annoying, let me know and I'll turn it off.
It doesn't seem to be.
Cool.
What's the temperature there, Ari?
I'd have to ask. Hang on, I'll ask Google. Wait a second. Okay, Google, what's the temperature in Logan City?
The temperature in Logan City right now is 24 degrees.
24 Celsius and probably 2 or 3 degrees hotter in here.
Only because your computer's pumping out about 100 degrees.
I'll have you know it's water cooled.
Oh,
You
went
got the
for whole
radiator
power
on.
and all that, huh?
Yeah. Hang on. There you go. I'll see
Yeah,
where I
give
go.
us a shot. Give us a shot.
Look at that thing.
Those LEDs would drive me insane now.
Me too, Jim. They actually weren't my first choice. But basically, if you want to go and buy high-end PC components in this day and age, according to the manufacturers, the only reason that you would ever want to own an extremely powerful PC is if you're a gamer. And all gamers want RGB, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
at the moment, with this COVID thing, I don't know if it's the same in the US, but it's nigh on impossible to get computer parts here. They've just sold out. I'm going to be stuck at home forever. I need to build a new computer. So I was glad to get what I got.
Hey, Ari, do you mind talking about the setup you did get? I mean, did you go AMD or did you go Intel?
Oh, in AMD, I've got no brand loyalty at all, Jim.
Okay.
I've been on the Intel bandwagon since 4th generation, i7s, since then. Before that, I was last on AMD when the Barton core, the AMD 3000 was current. So that's a blast from the past. And after that, Intel edged ahead. If I was just gaming, if that's all I was doing, a big i7 probably still is very slightly ahead. But if you're doing multi-core desktop tasks like, processing,
Editing.
as if you're a drone pilot, for example, yeah, AMD's definitely got it. I got an AMD Ryzen 7 3800 hyper-threading 8-core.
So now,
What's the cost of that setup? Doing it on your own, obviously.
In Australian dollars, it cost me $3,900 just for the case.
I was going to say 4. Look, I was going to say 4.
Wow.
Now, you also, I mean, is that a processor GPU in one?
No, the processor is under the little blue Corsair heat block. That's there. There's the radiator in the front of the machine.
Right.
And there, that massive looking thing there, that's the graphic solution.
Okay, now which graphic solution are you using? GeForce?
To be precise, that is an MSI RTX 2070 Super Trio. It's got a triple fan cooling solution on it because I don't need to tell you, Jim, when you're doing photogrammetry, your machine could be running at 100% CPU load for 2 or 3 days.
Yes.
So cooling is everything.
I was looking at the two, and to me, for what we're doing, there's very little difference between like the 2060 to the 2080 as far as editing goes. Now, gaming, they all worry about frames per second in gaming. They want 144 frames per second on their screen.
Well, for me, what's important from the point of view of processing is how many CUDA cores it has if you're doing your processing on the video card. I bought my son a 2060 Super for gaming because that's what he does.
Right.
The Super series, which was sort of like the second iteration of the RTX cards, came out about 5 months ago. And essentially, a 2070 Super is a 2080 in wolf's clothing, and a 2060 Super is a 2070. So this thing's got 2,560 CUDA cores, the same as a 2080.
Well, I'm gonna be going to Tower because this thing is driving me insane with the I don't know. I ran into I had left my Mavic 2 Pro in H265, the HEVC setting, right? And I had it on hyperlag gamma. I only wanted to test that day, but then Dan came over and I didn't change any settings, and we went out flying. And all the Mavic 2 Pro footage is shot in hyperlag gamma and 265, and that is nothing but stress on the computer.
Yep. Yeah. Look.
Hey,
sorry.
No, I was going to say, when you filmed that, was the footage overexposed in
No, no, because DJI gives it to you in living color on the screen. So I'm looking at it in living color. Didn't know that I had left it in hyperlag gamma or 265, right? And until I got it into the video editor.
I made that mistake when I went to Las Vegas, and I had it on HLG, and I was flying up in the canyons. And when I seen it through the screen, it looked normal.
No.
When I put it through Final Cut Pro, everything was overexposed. It was I was crushed. Needless to say, I converted back to Rec 709, and it worked actually when I did that. I had to convert it and put it in compressor.
When you're doing that H265 and the hyperlight gamma, that's the only way you're going to get the 10-bit color depth.
Do you really see yourself using it? Do you see yourself using it much, Jim?
No.
Yeah, I'm with you. Look, it is the way of the future, but not yet. I know Matt loves 265.
There's a story like there.
Well, you know what? I don't know if you're aware though, Ari. I've been mucking around with 265 a little bit, and I don't mind it once you've color graded it. But as I said, do you need it for YouTube? No, you don't. But it certainly is a nice to color grade.
Yeah, if you've got 4 hours to play with it,
and a big
to
do it.
It really depends on your scene.
Yeah, but to be quite honest, my computer really didn't struggle with it. There wasn't a lot of difference between rendering that and a 264 file.
Yeah, but that's because your computer sucks for 264.
It's useless.
Sorry, mate.
Guys, a lot of the stuff I film is normal setting.
You're right.
H265.
You're still using it though, Al?
I do still use it, but it's not because it's what I'm setting when I go out. Sometimes I just don't pay attention when I get to where I'm going, and I start filming. If it was a job site and I had like a shot list, then I know what I set up. But when I'm out there, I just want to fly. Whatever's on, I'll just wind up flying with it that way.
The thing is, when I put it into my editor, it automatically makes the shadow files, the proxy files. I don't have to go through all that with Adobe. You have to go ahead and make your own proxy files. And once we have the shadow files, we can work on the shadow files, do all the editing, and then apply it to the main file, to the 265 file to make it easier. Rick Halber, before I forget, guys, I want to ask you all. Rick Halber has a question for us. He wants to be able to show his on-screen display in a video.
But what is he using as his device?
He's got the same drones we have.
No, but I mean, like, is he using an iPad, a smart controller? That's what he wants. He wants to record the onboard telemetry, right?
Rick Halber, we're talking about you. Yeah. He wants to show that on-screen display.
During the screenshot, screen record.
The person who springs to mind who's got the most experience amongst the group would be Mikey. He's the one I could think of straight away. The other guy worth sending an email to, I know that he's a bit of an inverted commas celebrity, but he does answer, is Dustin Dunhill in Hawaii. He does very good job with capturing his screen.
Chris Hope says screen record with his phone.
Yeah, because if you could do it with the iPad, the iPhone, you just hit the screen record button.
With the iPad Mini?
Yeah, same thing with the iPad Mini.
You hit the screen record?
You slide down on the top right.
Yeah.
And you slide down, and then the button should be there. If not, you have to go into your control center and get that feature up on your timeline or display.
I did not.
Now there's an option there too to record audio, which you must check if you want your audio to be involved with that as well. But
you have to press a button and hold on to it.
Yeah, yeah. But then just grab that file, Rick, and chuck it into a second video line, and then all you got to do is squeeze the video, squeeze the sides of it, put it into any corner you want, mate. You'll have it the screen on screen.
What? Wait, using what? The Apple?
In the video editor.
What is he using? Is he using an Apple? Is he using an Apple product? Is it Android?
No, you see, but I don't have that in my iPad Mini 4. That is not automatically up in my top right.
Because you probably haven't updated it, or it's not part of that update.
It's 13.2.
Okay, so it should have it. You have to go into the iPad and you have to pop it up out of the control center, that little cogwheel.
Yeah.
Ron's gone for the earbuds. They've been screaming at him, shut that thing up.
Sorry.
So you got to go to the control center and get the screen recording feature up on top where it says include. Let me show you.
You got your iPad? Yeah.
Yeah, look. I don't know if you could see it.
Yes, we can.
So you see how it's a screen recording
Put him
right
up
here?
full screen, Jim.
That screen.
Hold on.
Hold on a second.
A little bit, Al. It's got glare. That's it. That's a lot better.
All right. So you see where it says screen recording and it says included. That's not there originally. You have to go down to where it says more controls and hold on to the equal, those lines, like press and hold on to them and pull it up to include it in part of the screen feature when you slide down.
Wow, you learned something new.
So you know what I mean? You have to. I can't see. I can't see if you can
Rick
touch.
says he has the crystal sky.
Oh, okay. So it's not even an iPad device.
No, he doesn't have the crystal sky, does he?
He just said so in the chat.
You can't do it on the crystal sky. You would have to take it from the 720p file. You see, Al, this is what mine is showing. I'm still showing you.
Look, and then look, this is what you do. You slide it down. Yeah. So there it is right there. There's yours.
Well,
right
which one of them is record something?
Right next to the little font A and the big font A. That's it. Hit that button right there.
That round one is the screen.
That brown button. Yeah. That's it.
Now, how would I know? Oh, I got to get me off.
It does a countdown like 3, 2, 1. Then it starts recording.
Does it automatically have the audio with it?
Oh, you'll know. No, I think you have to press a button in order to set it up.
That's right.
Yeah, I think you're.
You have to hold
right,
something in that icon for the mic to pop up on the screen.
That's how I made all those videos, Jim. With when I did the Luma Fusion and stuff, little videos I made on here. It was on the iPad and down to the screen recording.
So look at me. Watch. You could put me back on the big screen. If I could just share this, I would.
Yeah, you're on.
You see this button here?
Yeah.
Hold it, and you see how the mic pops up?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have to do that in order to activate the mic, which is right here. It says mic off. So you got to tap it to activate it. So you want
tap yours again. Now, what does that say underneath the dot?
It says right here, mic off, microphone off. So you have to hit the microphone button. Now the microphone turns red.
Okay.
Yeah,
right there. There you are. There you are.
I have a question for you, Al. How are you bringing up those icons?
You swipe right.
You swipe to the.
What?
You swipe right down. But it has to be like not in the middle. It has to be in the corner. See? The right corner. So swipe down, hold the record screen, and then it pops up down here. Well, it did.
Well, I don't have a record screen button there.
You have to go get it in the control center.
Yeah.
Mine has that, Al. How'd you get yours?
Yeah, there you go. Now you have to activate the mic because it's off. Hit the mic. Hit the mic tab.
And then it'll always come on?
And it'll always come on, but you might want to check it just in case.
Okay.
I never knew that about holding on to that, Al. I just tried it. It works.
Yeah. So you're saying in the control center, Al?
Yeah, you have to go to the settings cog, and then go to control center, and then go to customize control,
Right.
and then it'll say include on top, and then it'll have a whole bunch of more controls you can access, and then you could slide those up by holding them and pulling them up.
And what is that?
It's screen recording.
Screen recording.
Okay, just hold.
So look,
push
watch it. You hold it like this.
Hold the three dots and drag it up.
Hold the plus. The plus will add it too. So if you plus, you'll add it. You don't even have to do that. But if you don't want it, you could slide that down. See what I'm doing?
So the plus added it.
Plus added it. Yes, it's in there. You just got to look for it.
Okay.
Yeah, Rick, that's the iPad Mini 4. I have that. That's what I'm using, Rick. Well, I wanted to show it. But anyway, you see where it says screen recorder? That's in
There you go.
the channel.
Yeah, I should have said you hit the green plus button, and to get rid of whatever you want on the top, you got to hold on to the 3-line button on the right. Press
So
that.
it's control center.
Yep, you got it.
Jim, you're saying you can't do that on a Crystal Sky?
No,
Cannot.
no. It has an F2 button, which will take screenshots.
Pictures.
But it has places for 2 other SD cards. And it records 720p back to the Crystal Sky. But obviously he doesn't want 720p because his video will be involved. Do you know what I'm saying?
That won't be the screen recorder either, will it? It'll just be 720p of what the camera's looking at on the drone, yeah?
Right.
Thank you, Al. I take it
No
records
problem.
to the camera roll or wherever it records by default.
Yeah, it goes to your photos folder.
That's brilliant. I've got 3 iPads and I never knew that. I do now.
Glad I could help. It took me a while to figure that one out.
Well, there you go, Ari. Remember that video where I landed that Mavic on the end of that, by that water there? That was all screen record.
I'm just I've always been a bit leery about recording my screen because sometimes I'm on the job when I'm recording. You'll know this, and especially if I'm flying in the military aviation area or something like that, I don't want to put all my telemetry out there.
Yeah, and I think I think some of that may affect your transmission when you're screening, your film screening, and you're on a Wi-Fi drone or something like that.
All right, you ready?
Well.
Look at this comment.
So if my next edited video contains frenzied screaming along the lines of "Al, you rotten bastard," you'll know that it didn't work as expected.
Right.
You'll get it.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, I'm going to have to nick off. I just got here at work.
All right, Matt.
All right, dude.
Take care, Matt.
Great to see you.
Take care,
Shall
Matt.
do.
We'll see you Friday night, Matt.
Shall do, mate. That's for sure.
I'll be home with the 3 amigos.
Nice stuff. Nice. Good to see you at home, mate. Oh, it's good shit. All right, no worries. We'll take care, everyone, and I'll catch you soon, eh?
Take care, Matt.
See you, Matt. Have a
Take
good
care.
night.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
Yeah, so Bob's got that too. Dan joined us. Dan, I put up that second video. I didn't even lower the audio on that one. Dan and I were out flying. It was 35 miles an hour in the regular, the wind flying, and the gusts were 45 miles an hour.
I want to know, Jim, who was flying at the beginning of that video that you put up just before this? You, or at the very beginning there? Which one of you was too chicken to ram the cop car?
Oh, we were. That was
what I
Dan
meant.
chasing him. Yeah, that was Dan chasing the cop car. But the funny thing was, the cops were cooler than hell. They were just out there because everybody goes out there with their shotguns and shoots them off in the field. Because obviously there's nothing there, you know.
Yeah, that's
So,
some huge property.
Yeah.
Whoever owns that.
Nothing there except for dead bodies.
Yeah.
Decomposing.
Each one of those lots is actually owned by someone.
But what a cool place to go. You know, you can always go there and fly if you want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't They used to in the early '90s. They used to chase you out of there. They would put up berms and all that, but everybody with their ATVs and the four-wheelers would just dig that up so everybody could get around it, you know? So they gave up. They gave up.
That's crazy.
I'm trying to...
What was Dan flying? Was he flying a little 3-inch quad, 5-inch, or a little Cinewoop?
He flew the Mavic 2 Pro, the Inspire 1, the Hubsan Zeno. The only things we didn't fly that we brought were the Phantom 4 and the Mavic Mini because the winds were just too much.
But Dan flew up FPV too, didn't he? His FPV stuff.
His FPV.
The
thing screamed.
I could tell that you were flying the Inspire 1 by the way you couldn't keep a flat horizon in it.
You know what else, Ari? The video transmission on the iPad kept cutting out in the middle of nowhere.
That's actually funny. The last time I took my Inspire out, I had video transmission issues, and there's been a couple of updates to the old Go app.
And I don't update it.
Before that, I didn't have it. Now I've got it.
Right.
Mind you, they released a new update this week, so maybe they fixed the old update by putting the original update.
I have been trying not to update that thing because as we get closer and closer to remote ID, that's the bird that's still going to be flying when all these other birds are shut down.
If you can find batteries for it.
I'm waiting for all of you Americans to start buying your new Mavic Air 2 from Australia so that you don't have to have ADS-B.
There you go. We'll see. I had 6 new batteries out there that Dan and I were. That was the first time they had been flown.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't. That's why I didn't bring the X5 camera. I only put the X3 camera on it because I didn't want a heavy load in a high wind, and I'm stressing out brand new batteries. You know what I mean?
You get about 12-minute flight time with that?
No, you normally get 15. And then
with the X5 on it?
You can get 15 minutes with the X5 on it in a TB48 because the X5 camera is 900 grams.
And depending the lens you got on there too, right?
Yeah, I have the Olympus 14 to 42 zoom lens. Why are you laughing, Ari? You have it too?
Oh, yeah, no, Stingray Aerial Solutions has just asked them offering to be a drone shipper. For a small percentage.
Yeah, a small percentage.
Yeah, mind you, I get upset. I'm sorry to jump tracks, but I was watching the release yesterday like everybody else, and I saw the prices in the US, and then I went and looked up the prices for Australia, and at a mere $1,499 bear or $1,899 with the Fly More pack. I know it's sort of roughly the same plus Australia tax, but it sounds a lot more for us.
It does.
Ouch.
Now, Dan was flying the 5-inch E-Fight. And let me tell you something. I don't fly FPV at all. But that thing, he had the 3-bladed props on it. And that thing, like the wind was nothing to it. It just cut through it, and it screamed. It had to be doing 60 because the Inspire was doing 60. And it would have beat the Inspire.
Was he had a 4S battery on there? Or 4S battery, Jim?
I don't know, Dan. What battery was on that?
12S.
Now, Kenny, I don't know if you're going to have ADS-B because I think it may be only the USA birds get the ADS-B. Now, the ADS-B is another warning that comes up on the screen that you have to tap to get off your screen. Now, if you want, you can tap at the top of your screen, and it will come up with an ICAO box at the bottom right, and it'll tell you the half of the wing numbers of the bird. It doesn't tell you all the end numbers because there's 24 ICAO numbers, and it only shows you half of them. But it tells you how far the airplane is away and all that.
I've heard that there's two separate models, Jim, but it would make more sense for them just to make one and lock it out in the firmware for non-USA versions and ready for enabling it later. But it's never going to be useful here in Australia because they don't mandate transponders here for anything except airliners. And every time I've been almost taken out of the air, it's always been out of by private aircraft. And I monitor transponders through software anyway, and they're never running a transponder. They're not going to.
You have an SDR for that? A software-defined radio for that?
Yep.
Dan was using a 4S75C, which means nothing to me. I don't know what the hell that is, but okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, and Kenny's clarifying it. It says they're all equipped. It's just that it's turned off or on by software when it ships to that location.
Sense. It's like the FCC or CE power output mode. They're the same bird. It's just
I'm running the same battery to power this thing.
You're running a 4S on it?
Yeah.
He had the GoPro 4 on it. And that was one of the questions I asked him because it's only a 5-inch, right? And what size is that, Al? Is that a 3 or a 5-inch?
This is a 3-inch Cinewoop, but man, I've cracked my screen, cracked the front. This thing's all messed up.
How is
put
that?
An ND filter on there.
How is that not too much weight for that bird?
It gets going. It's about a 3-minute flight, 3 minute 20 second. I just buzz around the backyard with it. It's kind of fun. Go through the trees and stuff. What was that?
What do you put on?
4S battery.
What camera?
Oh, this has got the Osmo Action on it, but I destroyed it, man. Yeah, it's all cracked.
Holy crap!
That's it.
Yeah,
it's cracked in the front. It's chipped on the side. I cracked the OEM lens on it.
Right.
Because I suck as an FPV pilot, but it's cool though. It's cool to fly around the backyard.
No, Bob, I don't play with that battery. Those FPV batteries and all that. I don't know what that 75C means. I'm sorry, Ron.
No, I was just going to say I got to leave in a couple minutes. I know it's kind of changing the subject. I was just going to show you a picture real quick.
Yeah,
I was playing with Luma Fusion again today, and again, this is a little fake, but mainly you'll see here in a second why. But just to show you the capability of this program. This is, for any people in the States, this is Haystack Rock up in Oregon. It's actually where they filmed that movie, The Goonies. But, okay picture. But here, I put it in Luma Fusion today, and just to show you the capabilities of enhancing a photo. I said, this is the Pacific Ocean, but with the mountains and that behind it, and I enriched the colors, enhanced them and everything. But again, I'm just practicing with this program just to see the capabilities of it. And I'm starting to learn, with the masking and layers, and it's going to take me a while. But yeah, I thought it turned cool, But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to show you that real quick.
You never have to apologize for showing us your pictures, Ron.
Yeah, man.
They look great.
What did I see? Kenny says he paid $13.79, and someone else I put up earlier said they paid $1,600 Canadian. Are they both for the Fly More kits? So Kenny ordered it yesterday.
I think the Fly More kits here are like 1080 or something like that total with taxes or something. 1,080.
Yeah, for my money, you'd be crazy not to get the Fly More.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty cool that they're coming with ND filters. I think that's a really great add-on for it. That's awesome.
You know what? The minute DJI was showing their video, I got a notification from Polar Pro. Here's your new ND filter set for the.
They're on it.
Yeah.
I was on.
I'm not too. I don't know about that controller though.
No,
I don't know how you guys
feel. It won't hold an iPad.
I like it. Look, with hands this big, I always find the mini controllers really cramped.
I have iPad above the controller, so my hands are completely free underneath it.
Yeah, I have that adapter still. Don't need it, but I have it.
They'll be coming out with an iPad or a screen mount for it any day now.
Well, if
it's intriguing because it connects to the smart controller, and I use a smart controller with it, and I have a Phantom 4 Pro, but it's
they say it don't right now yet. But it's supposed
I won't now.
Yeah, they're saying a week.
So that's pretty cool.
So you know what, and I wouldn't buy it right now just because of that.
Well, I'm glad I cancelled the order on the Mini, and I'm glad I did, and I won't be buying one now. I think I'll probably buy an Air 2, but I'll sit on my hands for a couple of months and wait for everybody else to be the instant expendables.
If you're going to get a Mavic 2 Pro, if that's in your future,
I've got one.
Don't spend the money on a Mavic Air 2, is what I'm saying. If you're saving up.
No, for sure. Look, I don't know for sure until we see it, but the 4K 60 is something that the Pro 2 doesn't have. But I'm pretty sure that you'll find that the aperture is not fully adjustable on the Air 2, much like the original Air. So
you're talking about limited 4K 60. It's nowhere near the quality of my Micro Four Thirds camera 4K 60s.
Everything's going to have its. If I want to do 4K 60 seriously, I'll fly the Phantom 4 Pro. But it'd be nice to have it in a smaller package, and I don't need everything to be as small as the Mavic Mini. Look, Mavic Mini is one of those great ideas that sort of, in my opinion, others will disagree, it fell down a little bit in how it was executed. And why not? They're trying to get everything in a little package under 250 grams.
You know what, guys? I'm sorry, Ari, but
no worries, mate.
Everybody seems to be stuck on this 4K 60. And at one point I was also, until I bought the Mavic 2 Pro, and honestly, I am very pleased with the 4K 30. I'm not getting bad footage at all.
60 FPS is good for like tracking cars, vehicles, something moving,
action.
A lot of movement.
Right.
That's action
sports,
stuff.
action stuff.
Right.
What's really wild is the 1080 240 frames a second. That's crazy.
We're going to see some interesting stuff.
It's a neat little drone. It's got a lot of stuff packed in it.
That's what I want to see. I mean, 8K time lapses. What are they going to look like? How many? I don't do time lapses. I don't do
the time. You know what sucks about the time lapse? You got to fly the course, and then it does it flies the course all over again, and then starts taking the pictures. So it takes up a lot of batteries. Probably by the end of one time lapse. You know what I mean? You're going to use a good bit of your battery.
You got to fly the entire course?
You got to fly the course you want to do. I remember doing that when I have the Mavic Pro and the Zoom. If you want to do like a waypoint, you have to actually fly the mission and set the waypoints as you fly. If you're using DJI Go 4 app.
Yep.
You're using the Fly app now.
Yeah, Fly app. I don't know if they're going to be doing the same thing. I'm just assuming they probably might be.
That is not a plus from my point of view. That's the one thing that disappoints me. Why a new app? Go Forward does it all fine.
There's a lot of bloatware on there. There's on that Go Forward, Ari. There's a lot of aircraft on it and a lot of crap. The editing stuff and all that stuff.
Now it's just two birds. That's it. The Mini and the Air 2, and that's it.
And it's pretty simple too. I like it for its simplicity. Its interface is just basic. You don't need all that stuff on there.
I guess I'm looking at it from a commercial perspective, and I'm sure Jim's the same. I've usually got transponder software, Lychee, a dozen other things running there in the background. So for me, it's no big deal. Bob Casey's on my side. I knew I liked Bob.
You can set up your course in the map, or if you want to do time lapse, you can just set that all up in your map.
For Lychee, you can. You can't do that on. You can't do that on DJI on their Go 4 app unless they update it. I haven't done it in a long time, but the last
that came out about a year ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I stand corrected.
How do you do it? I don't do time lapses. How do you do it, Ron, so that Al knows what you're talking about? You just go into time lapse but you have to put the bird where you want it to do the time lapse. Is that right?
Right. You actually go on. You bring your map up, and then you set out your you set your waypoints up.
Right.
You basically
It's
set up
been
a
a while since
waypoint
I've done it.
mission.
That's the way. I mean, for 5 years now, I've been using GS Pro, and that's the way it was always done. I don't know anything different. I don't use Litchi.
That makes more sense. I haven't played. Obviously, I don't even use that feature, so that's probably why I don't know. Last time I used it, I played with it.
Yeah, I used it once or twice, and it was about a year ago. But you can set it up your different waypoints, and then you can actually have the say you're going between waypoint B and C, and you pick a point where you call they call a point of interest. You can have the drones start to look at point D, even though you're flying to point C. And it'll gradually do that as it's flying from B to C.
Mm-hmm.
Leechy's best when you're using stuff like that.
Yeah.
Leechy's
There's
the best.
what the pull-out menu screen looks like on the Fly app right there for the 2.
Bring that in closer, Steve. Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm just putting a picture-in-picture to run while I'm talking. This is a complete waypoint mission. The entire flight, no hands on the stick from takeoff to landing.
Okay, let's see it, Ari. I got you up. Is it going to come in as a separate screen? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's your picture-in-picture.
Yeah.
Now, how are you doing this?
OBS.
Oh, okay.
And I'm glad it all works because I just copied everything over from the other machine and all the configuration. The only thing is I don't know how to fast forward through this. But this is an island called Cuchimudlo Island. It's which is an Aboriginal word for let's name this something crazy so the white people can't pronounce it. But I did a full circumnavigation of the island here, camera in. And this was all done as a pre-programmed Litchi mission. Not too much danger here because it's over the bay. You don't have too much in the way of obstacles. But what really worries me with the DJI app in doing it is that it doesn't take on heights above ground level. It's only above takeoff point.
Right.
With Litchi, you can tell it to each waypoint to adjust height according to ground level. Mm-hmm. I did one early on in my career in a valley at the Currumbin Valley and nearly flew sideways into the side of a mountain. So I soon realised I needed something a bit better. But you can get really good footage if you programming the flight plans is an art all of itself. You can change camera angles and everything else.
Yep. Yeah, you can. When you get to one waypoint, you can have it change the camera angle.
Well, this is Litchi, right? Ari,
Litchi, yep. Yeah, or Litchi, yep. That's correct.
Litchi, I use the same thing for a couple of jobs I have. Construction progress monitoring. Yeah. Every time you go there, they want the same accurate height with the same camera shots. Yep. Litchi's the best for it.
Now, I saved that, Al, in GS Pro, and it saves that flight parameter, and you can tag the flight, call it, let's say, because I do the construction too, let's say we name it that construction site. So every time you go there, you just press the button, and it will do the waypoint and the camera angles that you have pre-programmed. Did you know GS Pro works, and it only works on iOS?
I've never used GS Pro. Ground Station Pro, I never used it. I've always used Litchi. Drone Deploy is another app I've used, and I never used Pix4D or any of those. But when I use Litchi, it's probably the best app and the one I've used most frequently when I'm doing Jim, like construction progress jobs.
What birds will it work on though, Jim?
The GS Pro works on the Matrice, the Inspire. I haven't tried it on the Mavic 2 Pro.
Yeah, I don't think it works on the Mavic 2 Pro. I'm not 100% sure.
Litchi works on everything. And, Bob Casey says waypoints are the lazy man's way to fly. In a way, well, I tell you what, Bob, you don't feel too lazy when you're sitting there biting your nails thinking, is it going to come back? But, the beauty of it is you can repeat the same flight every single time. If you got to go back, every once a month to the same flight.
You don't have to remember.
That's as you can see, it's now panning and so forth. That's all programmed into the waypoint.
Yeah. Al, I put a link in the chat for you, just to you get a chance, take a look at it. Guys, I got to get going.
Take care, Ron.
Yeah, you guys have a nice evening.
Take care, Ron.
Yeah, and we'll catch up
What
to you
is
on
that?
another day.
What is that link, Ron?
That's just like a waypoint mission tutorial for
Lychee?
Mavic 2 Pro.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've always used Lychee every time.
Really?
It's been spot. You know why? Because I can go also on Mission Hub for Lychee, and you can set your waypoints and your heights, all that on your computer,
Yeah.
and then save it, and then it'll pop up when you log into your Lychee app on your
Lychee-
iPad or smart controller. Hey, Mitch, how you
Lychee
doing?
was the first to come out with
Hey
that.
guys, how you doing? How's
Oh.
everybody?
GS
Good.
Pro
Hello,
was.
All right,
GS
guys.
Pro is at
we have
least
a nice
5 years
night.
old. All right.
Take care,
Ron.
Ron.
Take care,
Hey,
Ron.
See ya.
buddy.
All right.
Stay.
Bye-bye.
The GS Pro used to be free, but now if you do things like point of interest, I think they want you to pony up. But you pay $25 for 25 or 30 for Lychee.
Lychee, I think it's
20 something.
$25,
20,
but I had to
is
pay
it?
it twice. I paid it for
What?
an iOS device,
Yep.
and then I had the smart controller, and I had to buy it for the Android.
Oh,
So I got double.
that sucks.
Yeah.
I paid it once and I've got it on my phones, 2 tablets, and I'm okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, don't get an Android. That's all.
Well,
Yeah.
I have the smart controller. Was using
Yeah.
on the smart controller with the Mavic 2 Pro and the Zoom.
Yep. That's
couple of
Android
jobs.
5.1.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jody says it's 25.
Yeah, I bought it a long time ago. It was in the teens when I bought it.
What do you
That's a
mean,
good
like
app.
$19 or something?
Yeah, it was like they had it on sale for a while when they were trying to promote it years back.
I have still not used it, and I still haven't used any of the modes. I'm not going to put a Mavic 2 Pro in rocket mode or whatever those stupid modes are. What
Yeah, I don't know.
what
You're
are
talking
some
about-
of those modes?
You're talking about
What,
the
the new-
autonomous mode?
The new Air 2?
No.
there you go.
The modes
There's
in the
Mission Hub
Mavic
right
2
there.
Pro.
That
Or
is
is this
the
your mission?
yeah. That is the mission that you can see. Where I was flying, that you could see. That is it there from takeoff.
And you could save it and we share it with other people around the world, right?
Correct.
Isn't that, yeah.
correct,
That's why I
and you
love
can
this
fly
Mission
it
Hub.
on any of the birds that it supports, which is basically everything. So they're your waypoints in the purple, and the blue is the point of focus for the camera, which it will automatically shift. And if you, I don't know whether you can see, I'll just blow it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I
You
can see
can
it.
see the angle that the aircraft is facing.
And the height, right?
Yeah, and that's right. Height. There's 2 figures there. There's 60 and 58.1 on that one. 60 is the height that I've instructed it to fly, and 58.1 is the actual height in relation to the takeoff point. So that tells you that if you look at settings, use online elevation. I've only just logged in, so it's not ticked. But you tick that there, and when you create your flight plan, it will automatically change your actual elevation in relation to the ground underneath it.
Right.
It's a great app. How long did it take to run that mission? I didn't see it.
That was 16 minutes.
16 minutes.
And that's a long time when your drone's out there flying by itself.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Every time I set mine up, I'd pucker up.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how many times you do it. The next time it's still just as frightening.
Yeah.
See, this is another reason what Mikey's saying here. The first time I tried it, those quickies, I crashed my Mini into a tree doing a helix. That's because it has sensors, but it shuts them off during these modes.
I turn them off even if they don't. Because, as you know, the Mavics have this issue with if the sun is getting low in the sky, the sensors will false positive and it'll come to a screaming halt, which ruins your footage. So when I'm doing a flight plan, I probably spend 4 days on it. I'll make it on the first day. I'll go back the second day and recheck all the heights and terrain. I'll go back the third day and check times and durations. And on the fourth day, I'll finalize it.
Kenny.
And at our age, there's no other type but a quick.
Speak for yourself, man. Speak for
Oh,
yourself.
that's only because you've slowed down so much, Jim. What is it? What he used to do all night now takes all night to do.
Yeah.
I had Dan and I had the Mavic 2 Pro out, and it was, I don't know, let's say 100 feet up in that wide open field, and the front vision sensors wanted to be calibrated, so it would stop, and then if you moved it, you could go again. But I don't know what the hell that was all about, and they're not dirty. So, but the thing is, it wants you to hook it up to your computer and do that DJI Assistant 2 software.
Oh,
Yeah. You're right, Steve.
30 minutes later, your arms are. Wait a second. Wait.
Follow the dot. That's just insanity.
Hey, does anybody have a smart controller out there? I'm having an issue with mine. It's not recording the flight data, like for air data, like your distance of your flights and all that.
Yeah.
As soon as I updated it to the new firmware, is 1.00700.
Yep.
Now, when I went out for a test flight and didn't record any of the footage or the flight itself. And I can't get the information up on air data.
That new firmware update, the whole main purpose, I think, for that was so that it'll work with the DJI FPV goggles, and you can output the video live through the HDMI output of that thing, which is kind of a very expensive back roundabout way of doing it.
Well,
I'm
it's
up
also
to downgrade.
for the Phantom 4 V2 also.
I've always used the HDMI out to a TV.
Yeah,
I
but
carry a TV in the car.
but they're talking about for the FPV. Remember when they flew the FPV drone at Daytona?
Yeah.
They had to go with some very expensive roundabout equipment to get the HD feed from that drone to send to the broadcast producers. But now they fixed it so that if you can actually plug the USB from your DJI goggles, the USB out into the is it the HDMI in on
HDMI? It's the HDMI port. That puts the video out.
Well, it connects to the smart controller, and then you can take the HDMI out of the smart controller and send it off wherever you want. Plus, you can see it on the smart controller. But that means that you have to, guys who have no other drones to fly with a smart controller, they're FPV guys. They don't fly Mavics, and if they want to do that, they're going to go out and buy a $700 controller now, which it's kind of ridiculous.
They can build 3 quads for that.
I'm wondering if they actually have already updated it to operate the Air 2. They just haven't notified anybody yet.
Well, so it's supposed to have a firmware update for it to be able to connect to it.
Yeah. Well, they were writing it and they just released that for them. That's what I'm saying. It did it. I mean, if you were running a platform of engineers, why not put it out at the same time?
Yeah. Well, Mitch,
when are they shipping the Air 2s out anyway? Because I think Kenny said June 4th. Best Buy's getting.
I heard May 11th from the guys who were ordering last night.
Oh, okay. So it's pretty fast.
Mine says it originally said 10 to 15 days. Now on the DJI site, it's saying 7 to 10 days.
When the guys were ordering it last night live, it said May 11th, and I think Kenny just put that same date up in the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, really? That's only a couple of weeks.
Best Buy had it for May 11th too.
And
So
course,
they had 100,000 waiting to be bought.
Like Volatile.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you noticed today all the usual suspects all had their videos pop all exactly at the same time.
Actually,
Some of them did. Some of the usuals didn't get thumbed though.
That's what I was going to say.
No, but Billy Kyle and iPhone Doe got his, and I watched.
The most interesting thing about it, Al, not who put out a video, but who didn't put out a video.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to wonder, was it something they said?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. You're so right about that, Ari.
Yeah. I know Aldrin, Flight Path, put a really nice one out. He's really good about it. He really goes in depth with his reviews. And, of course, the unboxing, if you looked at it, it went up while the start of the video went out on DJI. Notification popped up. And in a matter of like 2 hours later, the 20 most important parts of the drone versus the unboxing, it was like 20 times the watch time of versus the unboxing. But he went real well over the items in it, and he's really fair.
It's a great aircraft.
They wouldn't want to ask me because I'd be honest, which doesn't make me a good reviewer.
He's pretty honest. If something's wrong, he comes out and says it. I wish you'd have done this. I mean, it's how he presents it. He doesn't come out. Yeah. I
mean, we don't all do a Ken Heron. I mean, that should be his should be labeled "How to Alienate Sponsors and Influence People."
See, he put out a video today that is absolutely incorrect if you don't use Adobe software.
Oh, he did that. I didn't watch it. That one on the proxy files.
Yeah, I caught a couple of minutes of it, and I said, "Okay, goodbye." Because it's only if you're using Adobe. I make we started off talking about this, but shadow files or proxy files are automatically made in Creator, Cyberlink, Power Director. It automatically makes the proxy files, and then I can choose whether I obliterate the proxy file or the original file.
Too funny, Chris. Let the other guys showcase theirs first.
Guys, can I ask
hurt their feelings?
Totally unrelated. While my PC's been down and I haven't been able to get on, something seems to have changed, or I haven't set something up. But when I'm looking at the users in the chat and I click on the little 3 buttons, I no longer have an option to go to their channel.
I have a video for that. You just go into Chrome, hit the 3 tabs, and go into the Chrome extensions. It's a 47-second video on my channel.
Okay.
Ari, YouTube did away with that. They did away with it to stop the sub for sub stuff. Yeah.
Actually, that's all we speculate.
Yeah.
It's actually a glitch, which they're not talking about too much. It was a way to hack in, and that's why YouTube pulled it down. That's coming from my sources that deal with multi-million-dollar social media businesses.
That makes more sense, Steve.
Yeah,
that makes a lot more sense.
They're supposedly going to be coming out with a repair on it.
It's a handy thing, and it just stops you dead in your tracks when you want to do any kind of networking. On YouTube.
Yeah, I'm watching people go past in the chat, and I'm thinking, well, I don't know that person. I want to check their site out. Now I've got to make a note and go and look for them later.
Yeah. See, Roosevelt's in here. Hey, Roosevelt, buddy, how you doing? Fly natural.
Rosie, Mr. President, good evening.
All right. I'll put the link in. Ari.
I'll check right now, Kenny.
It's real easy to do.
Okay, I've got it up there. I'll just pause it for later. Thanks.
This guy made the extension. Now everybody's name in the chat is green. And when I click on them, I go right to their channel.
Kenny, it says processing.
Well, YouTube have their own idea on how they want us to use their facility, but I don't mean to be ungrateful, but I want to use it how I want to use it, not how they want me to use it.
Exactly. Exactly, because, when you have your subscribers, and they pop on, and you want to be able to go and highlight that channel, keep it up in your tabs, like you said, for later. You don't want to write them down.
Dan's asked a question: what sounds better, lackeys or minions? Well, you make up your own mind, Dan. But the way I see it is like this: politicians have lackeys, emperors have minions.
What?
A good analogy. Yeah, I like that.
Steve, what
Yep.
showed processing last night?
My order.
Oh.
Did you order a Mavic Air 2?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
No kidding.
I did. Because I'm going to actually, I figured for the price, I know somebody who would buy it. I'll lose a little bit on it, but would buy it. And then I'm going to try shooting it, having that higher resolution of a camera. I don't need a 1-inch sensor to do it. I want to try shooting some construction sites and being able to shoot for 34 minutes. Say you get 30, solid 30 out of it. And just to do some progress shooting on it, I'm going to give it a try for that price.
I think it's a good drone. A certain YouTuber who will remain unnamed apparently not only ordered one online, but mistakenly hit the button at the wrong time and ordered two, and was crying piteously how his wife was going to kill him. And she came home during the broadcast, and then she was going to buy him one out of sheer love.
I know you're talking
Mentioning
about.
their names, whispering in the microphone, "She's going to kill me."
Oh, man.
So
Yeah. No, go ahead.
who's got that now? Who was that? You?
No, not me.
Okay.
Let's say this person is known to play on for effect a little bit. So how true it is, I don't know.
It was a good act, Ari. Whether it was true or not, it was.
That's it. It's a great story.
I was laughing.
Yeah,
I did see it.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. That's right.
I was actually trying to edit and trying to get the wind noise down in the videos that Dan and I did. And boy, when I brought them back in, mixed up with the fact that I was using some H.265 video in along with GoPro video, it was just it was hell. It took forever to edit. And then YouTube is slower than heck now. I tried to get on at 8 o'clock tonight, but I couldn't because I don't know, a 10-minute video that I put up was taking an hour to upload.
Oh, to process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went looking for you at 8 o'clock, and I saw your thing, and then I got the email that said 8:30. So in the time between, I watched your 14-minute video with Dan. You guys out there flying.
We actually, for two guys in the middle of a field of nowhere, we had the police come and chat with us. With two filmmakers came up and chatted with us because they were scouting scenes, and they had their model with them and all that. I mean, we had a pretty good day.
Yeah, it looked like fun other than the wind. It was terrible.
Oh, my God, Mitch.
You didn't have
But,
to let Dan loose on anybody?
No.
Yeah, it'd be great going flying with Dan. Anybody comes up and gives you a hard time, sick 'em, Dan. Just stand back and watch it happens.
So you got a kick at. Was that the first time you ever saw an FPV drone actually flying?
Yeah.
Oh, no wonder. I mean, you were amazed by it.
That
And,
thing, it's in that wind. You got to remember, he's fighting every time he's coming back at our two cars. He's fighting the wind. The wind was coming from the south at an easy 34 miles an hour with gusting to 45, and that thing was just butter.
Yeah,
butter.
but those things do 80 miles an hour easy, and 100 if you really tune them up.
What flight time? How much time did he get on it?
Oh, you get 4-minute flights, 4-minute flights.
Oh.
Yeah.
Same with the Whoop.
And I was
Yeah.
wondering if that was because of the 3-bladed props.
Well, they all very rarely do any FPV drones use two bladed props. They're almost all 3-bladed props now. Every one I have is a 3-bladed prop.
I think he called that one. Now I did ask him. It was a 5-inch, and I think he called it the E-Fight. And he had the GoPro Hero 4 on it, which was
yeah.
And I asked him that too. Isn't that gonna make the thing front heavy? So that
doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because the flight controller compensates for that in real time. Because they're even though you're flying in acro mode, the gyro is still working. So if the nose tends to dip down, that's what the eye gain is for. You heard of in the PIDs, the eye gain.
Yeah.
The eye gain compensates for long-term trends. So if it sees that it constantly has to pitch up because of the weight nose down, then the quad will compensate for the out of balance, and you won't even notice it when you're flying. It just points where you push the sticks.
Now, Dan gave me a break because he sat there and he said, "Jim, shut off my controller, will you?" And so I go over to it and I flicked one switch, that didn't work. I flicked the other switch, that didn't work. And if you see the video, it's got this big ass button that says power. I said, "Oh my God, what did I hit?" He goes, "Oh, no problem. You hit the trims on one side, and I guess you call them the PIDs. I hit the PIDs. So if his bird even flies now, I don't know."
That's funny.
If it was anybody else, they would have said to me, "What the hell are you doing?"
So, Jim, not the least bit interested? FPV?
No, not for what I do. I'm not. That's not my gig.
You'd get hooked. You would. You'd get hooked if you tried it. It's very addictive.
Yeah, after 3 minutes, I'd have a stack of I mean, I got too many batteries now to worry about. Do you guys worry about that too? Because I try and make sure that I fly them, cycle them at least once a month.
And in consecutive order.
And I got the Phantom 4 batteries. I mean, that poor thing, I really just haven't flown it, and I can't say how long. I just fly it to cycle the batteries at this point.
Are they the high capacity batteries or the standard Phantom 4 batteries?
The standard Phantom 4. Good God, I've had them for years. Yeah, if I was going to do one, Rick, I would do the one Mitch has, that Tiny Hawk.
Well, that's a way you start. You get that little Tiny Hawk and you start, and then you learn
Those
how
are
to fly
blast.
it, and then and you can't break it. It's hard to break, and you can fly in the house. So you're not going to hurt anything. You could fly it right into your head, and it won't bother you.
Damn.
Bill the Drone Reviewer live. I'll be back. I'm surprised, Dan, that you actually were missing Bill the Drone Reviewer show tonight.
Where is that?
Because they're talking about the guess what?
I wonder.
Yeah, in depth. I didn't watch the stream, but I did see the caption on it, and it said something about an in-depth discussion.
Or while they were online yesterday, you're watching history being made. I'm ordering the Air 2.
Oh, that's what?
It was like an Apple event watching all these YouTube streams. It was big.
Unbelievable. DJI's laughing their asses off over there in China.
Oh yeah,
I know. They got
ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
They're just making fun of.
Americans.
Look at those lemmings, man. Whatever we do, they just follow right along. I'm trying to get.
We're not going to have to worry about our economy. DJI will bring it back for us.
Yeah. There goes more money to China. To support the Wuhan lab, so they can come up with
somebody
even
tells
newer...
Skydio to step it up. That's what.
I was going to say that when I came in here. I was going to say, isn't it funny you don't hear much? You haven't heard much about the Skydio for a month or two.
And that's a local company here in San Francisco, in the Bay Area. They're right in Redwood City. Palo Alto, Redwood City.
Now, what was Bill saying that we were watching history for, Steve?
He was on last night with Marcus and Ron and all of them. And when they were sitting there, I went back to see some of Ron's shows, and I go back there. But when there's a certain person on, I usually don't watch. But when I clicked the button where I got in there, that person that Dan's going to see was going, "You're watching history be made. I'm purchasing the Maverick 2 Air. Just watch this. It's going to be an epic event." I shut the stream off. I was about ready to puke my guts out.
Epic because the boxes behind him will actually be something he bought.
Come on, why hold back, mate? Tell us what you really think.
There's not enough time left in the day to even go there, Ari.
Dan missed it. Hey, Dan, you'd be proud of me, young man. I'm learning Ardu pilot
with Mission Planner.
Mission Planner and Q ground control and the Q and all that stuff.
Watch out for Andrew. He's trying to incite me to buy another metal detector. He's dangerous.
You go a lot of hunting?
I used to do a lot more when my health was better. You know, I love the early videos on, the old World War II sites. And the other thing, I used to get called in to dispose of a lot of unexploded ordnance. So, yeah, I've got the detectors. I'd like to get back out.
I would like to. I used to do it a long time ago, and then I was thinking about doing it again because I have some friends are talking about it, and none of us have been in and around, and I'm just wondering if you can come up with some suggestions someday. Drop me a line with anything that you kind of make and brands and models you'd recommend.
Look, I'm typical Australian. There's only one brand, MineLab. NATO buys them for, your military uses them to find IEDs. And they're made here in Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, look what Rick put up. He will cancel it or sell it.
Oh, feel the love.
Well, Dan approves of my going into Ardu pilot.
Oh, there's so much good stuff on GitHub.
Yeah. Oh, this Ardu pilot. Let me show. I don't know if Dan has seen it yet, but make my picture big here.
You got it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's what the Ardu pilot is going into, Dan. An 800 size electric helicopter. So
what is it? A T-Rex?
No, it's made by Bergen. It's
okay.
Like you've seen the T-Rex 600.
Yep.
Well, this is an 800.
I had one for a while.
Yeah, it's got a huge.
Once I got into droning, I figured that I could do without the stress anymore.
Oh yeah, because you don't, helicopters explode when you crash them. They don't just break a prop.
That's it. You fly your heli for 10 minutes and you land it. You got a pulse rate of 200 and you're running.
Oh, no doubt.
But that's why there's no fun in that shit.
But that's why I'm putting this flight controller up on the front here.
Yep.
This Ardu pilot. This thing will be totally autonomous and stabilized and everything else. And basically, it's just going to be like an oh shit switch. If because I like flying them in regular manual mode where you actually fly the thing. But if you ever get disoriented or get in trouble with it, you just hit the switch, and it does return to home and lands right there.
A friend and I did a lot of work with Arduinos for flying wings. This is going back a few years now, before it was really mainstream, and they're marvelous. But now you can just buy it virtually off the shelf, and at my age, the incentive to play with it is not here. I got 5 kids. I don't have any time for
that. Dan's got away with words, doesn't he?
Yes. He's a wordsmith.
Dan is the kind of guy that calls a spade an effing shovel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Ari, what was the brand name of you were talking about again?
MineLabs.
Mine Lab?
Yes, and it would depend, the model that you'd be looking at would be depending on whether you're focusing on gold or whether you're what they call a relic detector, for finding old coins and things like that. There are a few models that cross over, but it's one of these situations where they'll do both, but neither outstandingly well. So you're better off to decide what your gig is going to be and buy the right one. If you're after relics and that sort of thing, I think the current big boys are the Equinox 800 and the CTX 3030. Although Andrew would know probably better than me, I'm a little bit out of touch. And for the gold detectors, Andrew's the guy to ask.
There's the flight controller on this helicopter.
Wow, look at that.
And now that's got how many IMUs and how many GPS, Mitch?
It's got three IMUs. I've only got one GPS plugged in on it right now, but it has the capability of multiple GPSs, redundant power sources. It's a 12S, takes two 12S 5,000 milliamp batteries, and it's huge. I have the rotor blades off it so that I can actually, run the motors in the house while I'm setting it all up.
You coward! Go and put the blades back in and run it up for us.
Yeah, and you were talking, Ari. There's a T-Rex 600 right there.
Yep. That's what I had, and you take one of them out, and of course the people come from everywhere. Oh, it's an electric helicopter, big deal. Yeah. When you spin it up, you look around to talk to them, and
they're hiding. They're hiding under the park bench. But this thing's got 150 amp ESC on it. Look at the size of that ESC right there. I had bought this helicopter 15 years ago to go into the aerial photography business before drones even came out, and it never worked out. The FAA was all over us so fast we didn't dare fly. It was ridiculous. They were going to require.
I'm sorry. Did you build that yourself, or?
Well, it's a kit. It's made by a company called Bergen here in the States. Okay. It's a Taser 800 is the model. But yeah, you got to build it. I mean, it comes in a million pieces, so you got to put it all together. The rotor head. There's the mechanics of the rotor head.
Full swash.
Yeah, it's actually got a. It doesn't have it uses what they call an H1 system. It's mechanical mixing instead of the mixing where you have the three servos at 60 degrees around like the T-Rex. This thing actually has one servo that's pitch, one servo that's roll, and one that's collective.
Just looking at Dan's comment, I got tired of nitro, Dan. I mean, I've been RC flying 30 years. I've got certification for fixed wing and rocketry and space and all that sort of stuff. But I got tired of nitro. I got tired of coming home from a day's flying and spending a day's cleaning. Electrics made me lazy.
What is the nitro?
Gas powered.
Oh, that's all? Just 110 jet fuel?
No, alcohol and nitromethane, like the old model airplanes, the old Cox engines used to use.
Okay.
But anyway, that's
incredible.
That's going to be interesting. I just started. I got it. I got a lot of programming to do on it yet. It's a learning experience.
That you're a bit like me, Mitch. Between you and I, we keep several cable tie businesses in operation with our sales.
Oh, you kidding? I just got an order from Amazon with 2,000 of them.
Yeah, I put nearly about 70 into this computer the other day.
Did you get the one with the different sizes and all that?
I just get the little. Here they are. I just get these little 4-inch ones.
Oh, okay.
They're I have a whole package of the big heavy ones.
Yeah, the assortment.
These tiny little 4-inch ones are perfect for wiring up stuff like this.
I like the assortment because I also use them on the car.
Well, yeah, these things aren't going to get you very far on a car.
No. The big banded ones. No, when you get the assortment, they're about 12 inches long and
Yeah.
they're thick, and they work good.
Yeah, they're about that wide, 2 feet long, and you just say, put your hands behind your back.
So let me go back a step here, guys, because we have 22 guys on, and Mitch and I were talking. I mean, I was surprised when he went to beta flight and all that other stuff and iNav, because Mitch didn't start off with ArduPilot and Mission Planner, and I wondered why, because that's been around the longest, and that's where DJI kind of, let's say, borrowed their technology from to make their automatic systems that we all buy now, the ready-to-fly systems. That's where it all comes from, is ArduPilot and Mission Planner. You look at Litchi. If you have Litchi, go look at Mission Planner. It's the same damn thing. It came from Mission Planner. And now Mitch is going to be using that on his helicopter. But there's ArduPilot, ArduCopter. What else? There's one for the RC.
Everything. Airplanes, fixed wings, cars, rovers, submarines. They're using it. I saw an article somewhere where somebody was using it on a full-size vehicle for autonomous.
Yeah, they use it on boats too.
It's going to make you wonder whether what was the system used by the Chuck system? You got to wonder whether that's based on the same thing.
Well, 3DR was the big proponent of this system, ArduPilot, and 3DR. When they made the Solo, which is what Dan, and I've been hearing Dan harp about this, and I didn't know what it was. I had no interest in it. I was flying DJI stuff, and then I got into beta flight, and then iNav, and the reason I wanted to automate this big helicopter. Okay, so I've got fixed wings flying with iNav now, and they work great.
Keep going.
But there's no provision in iNav for a traditional helicopter. So the guy, one of the developers of iNav, his name is Pavel Spakalski. He's a big YouTuber, and he's one of the developers. And I went on one of his live streams and asked a question in the chat. And I said, Pavel, when is iNav going to support traditional helis? And there's just not a lot of activity in helicopters anymore. Not since drones. Why would you build a helicopter which you can wreck in an instant when you can build a drone that you can wreck and put a new prop on and go back flying again? And he said, no, we're not going to do that. And I said, and I had heard that ArduPilot supported regular helicopters. So that's when I said, okay, I guess the only flight control system for the helicopters is this ArduPilot. So I started looking into it, and it blew me away. And one of the things that blew me away about it is that with this stuff, you can totally divorce yourself from any control of DJI. You can build your own camera drone. You can build, and most of these commercial photography drones, and these big ones, the heavy lift drones that these guys are flying, are all running it. They're all running ArduPilot. It's got all the camera control. You can mount gimbals. You can control all that yourself and not have to get permission from some company in China when you turn your drone on to let you go fly it, or stop you because it needs an update, and you can't fly until you update it, or something like that. So I said, what a great thing to learn for the future, to not be tied to the control of a company who's being controlled by all these governments. Because ArduPilot is open source.
Just think of how bad we're tied into them with the batteries.
Oh yeah.
And these FPV guys aren't.
No, you buy batteries for $20, $25. And,
okay, guys, I got to bring in something here. Where do you think all those batteries are being made? They're not being made here in the States. They're being made out of the country.
Of course they are, but no doubt. But you're not.
They're not $200 like an Inspire battery.
They're not proprietary. They're not proprietary.
Right. You are.
And that's the thing. And
if I could get a $40 tattoo battery, I would.
Well, that's one of the most popular mods for DJI quads is, to run them on standard LiPo cells, non-DJI cells. That's becoming more and more popular.
Well, if you open up a DJI battery, they just got the same old lithium polymer cells in them, and some smart technology. But some of these manufacturers are starting to put this smart technology into just standard LiPo packs.
They are available. It's available right now. I put it up in our group in Facebook to make the regular tattoo batteries that you buy. I say tattoo because that's the only brand name I know, Mitch. To make them smart, which is basically equal balancing between the different cells if you put a couple of packs together.
Well, yeah, but we have balance. When you're flying FPV drones, batteries are kind of expendable. You abuse them. You're drawing just ridiculous amounts of current from them, a lot more than what the DJI does.
$50 a battery, like certain companies who remain unknown. DJI.
Yeah. I just bought for this big helicopter needs two 5,000 milliamp 6 cells to fly in series. So you get 12S. It's close to 50 volts. All right. And I paid $65 a piece for these two batteries, which are like gold bricks. They're so heavy,
Yep.
big ass batteries, but $65 a piece for a little 1500 4S that you fly on a normal, like what Dan mentioned, a 4S 75C battery that you fly on a 5-inch quad and scream all over the sky for 3-4 minutes. Those batteries are $25. So you buy them if you leave them in storage charge when you're not using them. And these chargers that we have today, you just throw them on there and say storage charge, and it balances all the cells, sets them to 3.8 volts per cell, and you can put them away. They'll sit there for 6 months. It's not a big deal.
I must admit, Mitch, I would like to be able to use my my aftermarket chargers that I bought for radio seat control flying to charge my DJI batteries. I haven't looked into it yet, but I trust them a lot more than I trust DJI's solutions.
Well, the DJI's got the smart battery that automatically puts itself in storage after a few days, which is not a bad idea.
They seem to be pretty good.
But when you're flying FPV and you're beating the shit out of these batteries anyway, and you're running them way too low, and they're puffing up on you. So, but they're cheap. So you throw them when they get so beat up, you discharge them and throw them away and get some new ones.
Now, when Dan and I were flying some new Inspire batteries that I got, and when I say new, they were actually made in 2015. Yeah. And so this was the first time we were stress testing them because, they'll suck 30 to 40 amps like nothing, just hitting them. And I didn't want to give the battery too much sag on their first go around.
I don't know if I don't know if I subscribe to the idea of having to break in batteries. I wouldn't abuse them on the first flight, but you just fly them.
When you're playing
you had asked,
battery.
Yes. Yeah, when you're paying that much, but you see, you said you didn't know what all those numbers meant, like 4S
75C.
Okay, C means capacity.
It means how many times the rate.
How many times how many times the capacity the battery can deliver. So if you got a 1,000 milliamp hour battery, okay, a 1,000 milliamp, for example, that's 1 amp hour. That battery can deliver 1 amp for an hour. That's what 1,000 milliamp hour means. 75C means that it can deliver 75 times its capacity.
75 amps.
That battery can actually put out 75 amps.
For 1/75th of an hour.
For 1/75th of an hour. But when you take those quads, and you remember when Dan was screaming straight up into the sky and hit the throttle full up?
Yeah.
If he had a 75C, say a 1,500 milliamp, he could have been drawing 80 to 100 amps from that battery. They're capable of dumping current that fast.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing, Mitch? Because a few years ago, on older technology, the nickel batteries, you couldn't do it. And that,
No.
you know, for everybody else in the chat, if you ever wondered why lithium batteries are so volatile, that's why. That's the trade-off. If you've got a battery chemistry that allows you to discharge at many times the rated capacity, they are twitchy. There's no way around it. Not on the
Yeah.
current generations.
So think about like you got a bucket of water.
So I am.
Okay.
Hi, Dan.
Oh, Dan's
Hi,
there.
I'm here. I'm just waiting for my internet to catch up slightly here. I keep getting robot real
Hi,
bad.
Dan. How
I'm
you
on
doing?
LTE. I'm on LTE, so it's not wonderful right now.
Now, if you get cells, because I have had cells that have gone really, three of the cells will be fine, but one cell will have so many errors, right? But if I take it down to like between 5 and 8% on a deep discharge, it'll reset the smart board to where I won't have those problems.
I've heard of people taking them even lower than that to correct the problem.
Well,
Go ahead, Dan.
So it really depends on whether you're running a battery management system. A lot of your smart batteries, like the Solo, the DJI stuff, if you go too low, they go into what's called blackout. The board was only meant to go to a certain port, like a certain point. Some of them run capacitors to remember their memory cap, obviously. So if you ran them low enough, they would actually do what we call brownout. The Solo would fall out of the sky and go dead as a doornail. And that's something that got added in later by DJI. So now they have a capacitor that, you know, holds a very certain amount of energy for a charge port. But they also have micro batteries that they've been putting on their BMS systems lately to remember the charge port. What happens is when you first initially put a battery, I call it marrying the battery. When the BMS is first connected to the battery, the first time ever, there's a marriage that takes place between them. And then they calculate the voltage and the percentage based on the first charge that they get. And that's why normally when you first get them, they work great. And over time, the cells start to degrade. And that's when you start losing that marriage capability. That's when you start having a lot of battery problems. One cell fall below the other. You know, your discharge rate goes out the window. Pretty soon the battery starts to die just because a couple cells start to fail on it. Some cells are just built better than other cells. You know, we run into that with FPV. You may have 3 great cells and 1 negative cell that's just drawing really bad. And that's when you start having your quad fall out of the sky on you. So.
Wait till you take
that
apart
makes any sense.
Wait till you take apart the Inspire battery I gave you. That's got 12 cells.
I got it right here. It's in my hand.
Well,
I got it in my hand. I'm thinking about.
Is he modding the Inspire battery for you, Jim?
No.
Well, and that's what my plans are, to tear this apart and see what is going on with the BMS inside this, because I think we can build these packs. I'm going to get with Heath and see if we can custom print some packs that you can reopen and replace the cells in for people. But I want to see if we can reverse engineer the BMS setup that's inside this. If we can, then we can make all sorts of version 1 batteries for this thing.
Well, I tell you what, Dan, the first person who manages to market a kit to allow people to put, you know, batteries from your local hobby shop into a holder and with the control circuitry to go in Phantoms and Inspires is going to be a rich man.
Well, Matrice 600.
I'm not even your rich man, just sharing knowledge.
Yeah, but look, Jim, you were the one that put me onto that about the TB48S, I think it's called, from the Inspires. You can just swap. I'm actually on the lookout now for dead Inspire batteries so that I can just get the circuit boards from that. And I've told a few other people.
Keep the tops.
Yeah, I've told a few other people because, you know, over here on Facebook we have the DJI sell and swap groups, and they're all crying out for Inspire batteries. And I just made a comment the week after you told me, hey guys, did you know that you can do this? All of a sudden I was an instant celebrity.
Yeah, I've had them apart already.
I mean,
it's only a red, a black, the regular balanced charge cable, and in the front, in the very front, there's a thermo sensor that you have to be careful that you don't break. You just pull the top off with the thermosensor, and you can put it on any other battery pack. With that Inspire battery holds 12 cells, 6 of them are in series. So that gives you the deep charge, the deep, I guess what you're talking about with that C rating.
Yep.
No, that's not that the arrangement of the batteries, the way they're hooked up in series or parallel.
They're series and parallel.
Yeah, so you'll see batteries that say 4S 2P. Okay, that means you've got a 4S pack, but it's made up of 2 parallel banks of 4S batteries.
Okay.
And they call that 4S 2P. And then the C rating is a function of the actual cell itself.
See, they don't tell any of that on a DJI battery.
Well, you don't need to know it with a DJI battery because you're not supposed to be a hobbyist. You're supposed to just buy DJI stuff and plug it in.
Exactly.
Right. Pull it out of the box and go.
Yeah.
Well, that's not my goal. My goal is to be making my own.
See, and that's where you and me, Jim, we started talking, and I said, I think your real chase here is what Mitch is already going after, what I've been tampering with for 3 years now, right? I think the true potential of drones is open source, and I think it always has been. It's just we've been relying too much on the companies to produce something that we hope that will meet our needs, as opposed to just building our own that will meet our needs and we can make adaptive changes to as we go. That's where open source becomes that next stage of evolution for the drone market.
Well, as people come to realize that, once they even take a look at ArduPilot and Mission Planner and they see that that's where DJI got this stuff from in the first place, look, we all buy stuff off the shelf and then understand and say, oh, wow, that's how they did it. Let me do that.
Yeah. Well, it's open source. It's open source, and you just hope that there are enough hobbyists or people that are passionate about it that spend the time and energy to keep developing this stuff. iNav is having a big resurgence right now since the Spakowski guy got involved. They're putting stuff in iNav now that's incredible. For a while, it just kind of laid there.
But Mitch was just showing you that Pixhawk Cube Orange. That's got 3 IMUs, 3 GPS in it, and DJI just came out with a Mavic Air 2 that everybody's going insane for. That has 1 IMU and 1 GPS.
Yeah, but we realized that was a necessary thing because the skew rate was off. You had to have that extra process capability. So what's fun about the open source side is that DJI only allows you to tap into a certain amount of satellites from different countries at one time. Whereas if you're skew rating and you have a powerful CPU on any one of these open source birds, you can pull in all 4. You can do Beidou, GLONASS. What's the one for overseas? Galileo. And then, Beidou's China. And then you got GPS. So there's 4. But
I've got one of my Phantoms, let's just say, modified for that, and it's nothing more reassuring than getting it in the air and seeing you've got 30 satellites locked.
Dan, this
it's
GPS
ridiculous.
unit, this GPS unit that's on this cube, it's from HERE, HERE. It's the HERE 2 GPS. And it's got not only that, but the GPS actually has a compass and a gyro and an IMU on it as well. The inside my house here, on the workbench today, I fired it up. I was getting 14 satellites.
Yep,
14
inside the house.
Satellites inside the house.
Yep. And people don't. That's what. See, and this is what. I don't know if you guys have been following me for a while, but I've been trying to tell people about the Solo for the longest, just because of this stuff. It's an already built platform that can be tampered with and tinkered with. It was like the best of both worlds. You can have DJI tech because the guy that originally had the idea was a CEO for DJI at the time. And then he took his idea when DJI decided, what's that?
Wang?
No, I'm talking about, I can't think of his name right now. He did all the videos for 3DR too. He's really well known for being in the drone industry for a really long time. God, man, what is his name? This is gonna kill me because I haven't thought about this guy in forever.
Don't be dying because I got him on my Facebook.
I know. I got him on my Facebook too, man. I feel like a douche. Anyways, long story short, he was one of the CEOs for DJI. He introduced the idea of an open source platform to DJI to the rest of the guys They turned it down flat. He took his idea and the tech from DJI at the time and brought it over to 3DR, introduced his idea to them, and they took him up on the offer. Colin Gwynn is his name. Most of the tech that is actually in the 3DR Solo was tech from DJI, just modified in a different fashion.
Jim, just quickly, is it okay if I put a link in the chat?
Yeah, buddy, go ahead. You should be blue.
Yep. Anybody, just always ask anybody who would be interested in enabling extra satellites and whatnot. It isn't available for every DJI model, but you probably want to check out that link I've just thrown in the chat. Not
just
for the faint heart.
Be very careful with your firmware updates. Yeah, they try to alter things in the firmware updates. Make sure if you do make adjustments to your satellites, whenever you do an update, go back and check your configuration for your satellites.
Well,
because a lot of times they'll change that.
Now, Ari, you have the Inspire 1, do you not?
Correct.
Okay. Now, if you check out this same GitHub area, I'll just say that. It's called the Phantom 3 Inspire 1. It's the same one where you go back to software 1.04, which was the best firmware for that. And I don't update.
Well, that link that I've put, to run that software there, it's only available for the original Mavic, not the Pro 2, and for Phantoms,
right,
and a couple of other models. But they require an earlier firmware version for that, which technically you can't backwards flash, but that particular software has the means to do so within it.
I think Dan is correct.
Now,
I don't fool
Ari,
around.
would you have to use the app it was intended for from back?
No, it works with every version of DJI Go 4. And I will reinforce what Jim and Dan are saying. It's not for the faint of heart. You can brick your drone. So, read up, do your research. There's Facebook has the DJI Modding Lounge, I think it's called. You can join there, get some advice. I did. My first trade was as a technician. That's 40 odd years, and I still ask for help.
Sorry, guys, I kind of hear what you're saying.
I got a Phantom 4 Pro with legacy firmware on it. I have not updated it yet, and I probably won't. But I would like to get more satellites on it, disable the geofencing and stuff like that. But I'm not too keen on doing it. A little bit scared and nervous, so I haven't even attempted to do.
Well, Greg is involved with that software that says no-fly zone. It still has no-fly zones in it. You still can't fly over an airport. It just takes down the erroneous ones DJI has put up.
Right. Well, I've taken it out. The three things that interest me is FCC power output, because we get, the CE one here, which is only half as powerful. I don't want to fly further, but some of the areas that I fly, have radar and other high transmission sources nearby. So I like a little bit more. And, yes, I take out the geo zones. Not that it bothers me. As a commercial operator, I make a phone call and I can get unlocked anywhere. Some of the places I fly, I don't have phone coverage.
Yeah.
And I've been caught once before. I went out on a job with one drone that was unlocked. That drone developed a problem. And my other drones weren't unlocked, and I couldn't get in contact with DJI. So, I'm not exactly breaking any rules, but I just don't want to have to be relying on DJI to unlock it for me.
I have, during that last hurricane we had, which turned into a non-event, I still had to have emergency certificates of authorization. Even though I had them, Mitch will tell you, there's this little tiny recreational airport called the Merritt Island Airfield. The friggin' thing, Mitch, popped up and wouldn't let me fly. I'm flying now. You people have to understand. I'm flying in front of Patrick Air Force Base, which is a military base. They fly rescue. I'm flying in front of them, but I can't fly in front of Merritt Island Airfield.
Yeah. And halfway between Patrick and Merritt Island, some guy has got a heliport registered.
Yeah.
There's a big 5-mile circle around his backyard. And I don't think there's ever been a helicopter in or out of there.
Now, Mitch, have you... Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Mitch, have you been messing with Mission Planner lately? It has gotten extremely advanced. It is becoming really, really fun now.
Yeah, well, I just started with it, so
Okay.
I'm seeing it for the first time. And another thing I've been playing with is that Q ground control,
Heck yes.
because I like Q ground control actually better, especially in setting up the helicopters. It's
If you decide to stick with ArduPilot, they do have some very serious ground stations built for any Ardu platforms that they have out there.
well, not only that, but I've already got these little telemetry receivers and transmitters.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I already am past the point where I even have to plug my flight controller into the computer. It's all a wireless link already.
Those are channel. They're 150 channel scanners.
It's incredible, and the telemetry that you get and the control that you have over the telemetry links is what DJI is doing with their stuff, where you can go in there and program the thing in flight.
It's just a whole different. It's like trying to explain to somebody like DJI is a play toy, and then you pick up something like this and you realize you can program a robot.
Oh, it is.
That's really the only way I can explain it.
And you know a lot more about it than I do, Dan. But I'm just coming at this now from the hobby with fresh eyes, and it's bowling me over. And I just I don't have any use for it, but I'd like to build one of these big drones like this.
Oh yes, that's what me and Jim are talking about doing, building an Ardu heavy lift.
Yeah, big for the hell of it,
Yep, just for kicks, man. Just a project. Each one of us take a part of the project, work on it, then send it to the other person, work on it, and send it. You know what I'm saying?
But I did my first Ardu pilot. I just finished it. I haven't even flown it yet because of the weather. But I built just a little basic flying wing, foamy flying wing. I put a Maytech F405. $50 flight controller in it, and I flashed ArduPilot on it, and it's incredible. It's incredible. The same flight controller that you can put Betaflight or iNav on, they have the ArduPilot target for it. So,
I would say Ari's probably comparable in knowledge to me. I mean,
yes, I'm lazy, Dan. As I said, I've been a tech for 40 years. I'm FAI certified for as an instructor for fixed wing and heli and rocketry. And also the other thing against me was, I'm an advanced class radio ham. So I've spent 20, 30 years home brewing my own gear. And I realized, at one point, I'm spending more time building it than I am using it. So
yeah, I find that happens, don't you?
That's kind of the fun of it, though, the tuning process, because once you perfect it, man, it is just a totally different world.
Well, it depends, Dan, if you're a hobbyist. If you're a hobbyist, I've been an RC hobbyist for over 50 years. My passion has always been building and flying, and you build for every 20 hours that you spend building, you end up flying a half an hour. So building is what the hobby is. Building is what the hobby is.
Analog rubber bands, wasn't it, Mitch, before they went digital?
Well, actually, when I started in RC was in 1967, Ari. I was stationed in Germany, or 1968. I was stationed in Germany, we were flying U-control planes as a hobby. And Graupner, the German company that makes ours, Graupner came out with their first proportional radio control system. And I bought one and bought an airplane and built it up over there while I was stationed over there and taught myself and crashed and rebuilt it and taught myself how to fly RC, and I've been doing it ever since.
Very cool here, Mitch. We can all see the color of that, right? I'm no spring chicken. In 1968, I was 3 years old.
3 years old, yeah. Well, that's why my name is Old Guy in a Drone. See?
Mitch, while you were doing that, I was flying Estes rockets.
Yeah.
Out of Parkview Elementary.
How much stuff did you blow up with them as a kid?
Had a blast. And I wasn't the only one in the neighborhood. There was a couple. We used to put M80s up in them. You got to learn them.
Literally, you had a blast.
Yeah.
Yes.
We used to make them out of anything cardboard because all you're doing is installing rocket engines.
I'm like the worst story here. What'd you do before all this, Dan? Well, I was a security officer, and then one day I got mechanically inclined and picked up a drone. From there, Dan Drone Worship was born.
But you know, you like the hobby part of it as much as you like the flying part of it, and that's what makes it such a great hobby. RC has been. I used to say it had three things going for it. You had a craft. You had a workshop type of craft where you built these, airplanes that they didn't come all foam. You had to build them. You build them out of balsa wood, and you sanded them, and you covered them, and you painted them, and you had a sport, which was the flying part of it, and you had a social side of it with the clubs and just like the social side we have here on YouTube.
That's what
with
drove
the friends. With the friends you make and the people you'd go flying with. So in that respect, it's been a great hobby.
I went from that to jet engines as an aircraft mechanic in the Marines.
Have any of you guys seen the Cosmo Robot? It was very short-lived by Anki.
No.
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
If you get a chance, look up Anki, ANKKII, Cosmo, COZMO, Cosmo. It was a Linux-based micro robot that they built that had an attitude and a personality, and it was really interesting how they did it. The company went under about a year ago now, but they were making some fantastic products. I have one at the house, and I want to adapt that personality to ArduPilot through Linux, and I want to see if I can make the drone have its own personality based off of Cosmos.
You remind me of that kid that hacked the Roomba. Has anyone seen that video, the swearing Roomba?
Yeah.
No.
He hacked this Roomba, and then he takes it back to Walmart or wherever it was that he bought this thing and tries to return. He says, "I think there's something wrong." And they said, "What do you mean?" And he says, "I'll show you." He puts this thing down on the floor. It rolls along, hits the wall. "Oh, that bloody hurts! Jesus!"
Oh, that's funny.
It was just interesting to see Anki make its own decisions. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like we have with obstacle avoidance and stuff with the Skydio, all that kind of stuff, that tech. Anki has the ability to recognize objects, people, and things and scan your face and go, "Oh, that's Dan." Imagine applying that same tech to an ArduPilot platform.
They have the ROS system, robotic operating system, that they had stuff at CES where it was like
Drone Valley.
It was
Drone
like
Valley.
Jackson's robot that would deliver stuff to you.
Yeah.
What are you trying to show, Mitch?
I'm showing you that I just got this notification of Drone Valley has just posted a Mavic 2 Air 2 video.
Oh, wait
I'm
till
done with the hype train. I don't.
You won't see anything on YouTube but Mavic Air
I know,
video.
all day long. Ding, ding, ding. Yet another Mavic Air 2 video.
I got mine up first.
See, I want to grow, but I want to grow for my personality, not because I ride the hype train. That's how and maybe that's going against the grain.
Yeah, but
That's
why are you
going
going to
against the
buy a
grain.
drone you're not going to use or don't need?
No, well, they don't care because right now everybody's just looking for views, man. They're just sucking up whatever they can to build a channel.
You need to do the math, mate. You know, the formula for the correct amount of drones is N+1, where N is the current number of drones you own now.
But
that's true.
What if you change that? What if you did your own thing? What if you didn't care what you knew the? What if you didn't care? You knew what the standard was, but you decided to do your own thing anyways.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time for any of us, would it?
No.
No. That's and that's why we're all in this chat room and none of us are riding the hype train.
Oh, look, I've even given up doing my own live streams, Dan. You know, I'll jump into a few friends, Jim, and Matt and a few others, but I have no interest in doing my own anymore. The only time I stream is when I'm flying.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about being lazy, though. I've talked to Mitch and Dan about and buying the GGI S1 platform only because the motors and the ESCs and all that are already on it. And then just
how much does that cost? What do they charge for that?
Oh, it's not expensive.
$100 for it? About
I don't think
$1,000?
it comes with a flight controller. I don't think so.
Yeah, but you can build you can build something like that probably for $500-600.
Oh,
Heck,
with
you can
your
get it-
own.
You can do it cheaper than that, man.
Yeah,
You
but I
can,
mean,
like,
I'm talking about buying, a big motors and big props and some
Sure.
big ESCs and a frame, and that's all you really need. Then you you get one of these cube flight controllers, which are
The blue.
built for
The blue.
Nah, I don't. Yeah, the blue is like $500, man. It's made in America, but they charge you 3 times as much money.
well, you got to understand, Philip Rose is the Profi CNC guy. Okay, he designs military grade systems for missiles in Australia, wherever he's at. Anyways, the point being is the Profi CNC team, Ian and Philip Rose, Matt Lawrence, all those guys. I don't get along with them because we never saw eye to eye on the Solo. Philip Rose was one of the lead engineers on the 3DR Solo project, the original Profi CNC team that committed to it. They got mad at me because I kept taking money out of their pocket by showing people how to adapt third-party installation to the Solo when they kept coming up with all these ideas of how to make money and get it out of the people. And that's what pissed off Matt Lawrence and Kelly Schruck and Ian and Philip. And
That's
anyways,
like DJI getting mad at you for building your own batteries.
right.
Yeah.
But that was the other thing. That's how it started. I started building my own batteries and showing these guys how to build their own batteries, and all of a sudden they got mad at me. I was like, dude, this is a hobby. I'm just trying to help all these people keep their bird in the air without costing them money or tons of money. I'm not asking for anything. I'm doing this because it's fun and it's a hobby. You guys are ruining it for me by asking for money every time you design a part,
Well, that's what the Tuesday show was all about, helping each other. That's what the whole idea of this show
Exactly. That's what I thought anyways.
They don't like anybody threatening their gravy train, Dan.
No, well, that's not my problem. I told them to eat rocks, dude.
You look at the TB55s, Ari, and you're talking $1,000.
I know.
What?
And it's not justified. Seriously.
To put the Matrice 210 in the air, it's $1,000 for the batteries to get it up in the air. Think about
How
that.
about the license? How about the $1,000 license to use their Cinema DNG?
Yeah, the ProRes software. Yeah.
Yeah, $1,000 just for the friggin' license to use their huge memory stick that you plug in, record in DNG.
Now, Mitch, you know that if you're using ArduPilot, any platform that you build has the ability to run on Solo's property surveying tech that they have. You seen that stuff?
No, I haven't gotten into that yet, but I know it's there. And I'm looking through the GitHubs. I'm looking at the GitHubs. I'm looking at the software that's available for this stuff. It's incredible.
Their property surveying tech that they have for the Solo that runs on the Ardu platform is extremely advanced stuff. It is very fun to tamper with, but if you can hone it in and figure out how to get it to communicate properly with Mission Planner, you can do jobs that would take a surveying team 3 days to knock out in about 30 minutes with your rig, man. And you could charge a bundle of money for large corporations to do property surveying for them. It takes like $16.
Why wouldn't you build your own? Why wouldn't you be interested in
I didn't hear it.
Building your own system?
Hold on, you're roboting.
But Jimmy, even if you wanted to build your own battery, you couldn't, right? Since DJI is proprietary, I don't think you could. Yeah, you couldn't anyway.
With their BMS, the battery management system boards.
Yeah,
but
their software needs to see their battery. It's like when you buy an ink cartridge for an HP printer, and you buy one of these aftermarket cartridges, and you try to put it in, and it keeps telling you it's not a genuine HP cartridge. You can't use it. Bullshit.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
And so that's what gets you. I mean, we all start off with the ready to fly. Gee, that was fun. But when you see the money you're dumping, okay, how long does the battery set last? So, okay, 200 cycles they guarantee it for. What happens after the 200 cycles? You just go ahead, spend another $1,000. Now, when they don't want you, when they want to end of life that bird to make you buy a new one, they'll just stop making batteries.
Oh, that's the problem.
The other thing, Jim, that really annoys me, there's that nominal 200 cycles. As you and I both know, if you treat your batteries properly, You can get way more than that. But here in Australia, to operate commercially, it's just like operating a passenger aircraft. You have to submit your maintenance schedules, etc., to CASA for approval. And if you don't tell them that you're going to replace your props every 100 hours, your batteries every 100 charges, etc., you're not allowed to fly. You're not safe, according to them. So you can't tell me that they're not all in bloody collusion either.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. 100? Are you serious? 100 chargers? You got to replace them?
Yeah, if I want to fly them commercially, I don't take jobs where I fly over people, Steve. I don't do, weddings, events, real estate, that sort of stuff. I fly mostly inspections, mapping, photogrammetry, that sort of stuff. So that keeps my my insurance a bit lower on jobs, and it also makes the hoops I have to jump through a little less arduous. But yeah, if you're flying anywhere near people, you've got to have a fully approved maintenance schedule.
Okay.
Oh, Dan got bumped out. All right, guys, I got to go. I got to eat dinner. It's been fun, Jim. Thank you.
Good to see you, Al.
You guys
good
take
to
care.
See you, man.
Thanks, Al.
Make it easy.
Everybody in the chat, take care. We'll talk again. Take care, guys. Thanks.
Take care.
So Matt's still listening in there. Quick, let's talk about him.
That is one reason, Ari, why I got the Air Data a subscription. Now, you can get a free subscription to Air Data, but it is limited to 6 batteries and I don't know, maybe 1,000 flights. But 6 batteries, that's what I've got for, I think I have 10 for the Inspire. 3 for the Mavic 2 Pro, 4 for the Phantom 4, every drone. And so you're forced into the Pro, which is $15 a month, another damn monthly fee.
People spend more than that on a couple of bottles of beer. What's got me about it, Jim? I've been interested for years, but here in Australia, the government put the heavies on everybody, including DJI. Basically, you will not be allowed to do business in our country unless you disclose all data to us on request. The way I get around that, because some of my jobs are confidential, and I'm a bit of a rebel. I'm a civil libertarian. I don't subscribe to if I'm not doing anything wrong, I have nothing to hide. It's the other way around. Unless I'm doing something wrong, you don't come looking at me. So I'm not signing. I don't even sync my DJI flight records. I never have, not one time. If it's not there, they can't go looking for it.
But that's that software program is only because, it has extras. It brings up maps.
I'd love it.
Shows where you actually flew. But basically, it's because I'm too lazy to keep track of my own on a spreadsheet. Keep track of my own flights, my own distances, and all that crap. They're just reading the DJI flight software from the Go4 app.
Yep. I'm just waiting for somebody to create a standalone software package for your PC that records all of that. You can sync it on there. And
why don't we have that already?
Somebody should have. All the something that's on that software package. It's gone out of my head again that you use. It should be able to be done locally.
I don't understand why that hasn't been done already. You know what? I'm not as involved in the Mavic pilots or those groups anymore as I used to be. So I don't know if there actually is any of that kind of software out there.
Not that I know of. I'm like you. I'm a member, but I don't use the forums much anymore. It's like when Mitch was saying about the joys of flying, radio control and the social side of it. Hell, that's why I got out of it. When my local club where I was instructor banned discussion on whether mode 1 was better than mode 2 because people couldn't stop getting into fist fights over it, I voted with my feet.
Well, that's the problem. There's always in all the clubs I've ever been in, is the club politics are enough to make you crazy, just drive you away. But there's always a couple of guys, and I've made some of my best friends in my life I've met in the hobby, and so we would hang out and avoid the rest of the clowns. You always had the club. You always had the club policeman. You always had the guy who couldn't fly worth a shit, couldn't build worth a shit, hung out at the field all day, just telling you what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, while you're flying, I'm standing out there, I'm flying a turbine jet going 200 plus miles an hour. Some guy comes up and taps me on the shoulder. You're flying that a little too close to the runway here. I'm flying, $10,000 model going 200 miles an hour. This ass he's tapping me on the shoulder, telling me what I'm doing wrong.
And you see a lot of that in the drone community, Mitch, as well, which is disappointing. Like, a lot of the groups I belong to, one of the rules is no sheriffs. And, that annoys me a bit, but it is necessary. I don't, I've got the highest qualification for drone pilot in Australia. I can get permission, and plus I've got my aeronautical radio operator certificate, everything that. I can fly around an airport. I just got to put my paperwork in. So, anything I do is legal. When I see somebody else putting up footage that would technically be outside of the standard operating conditions, is my initial feeling, oh, look, that guy's breaking the rules? No, my initial impression is, oh, he's obviously got the exemptions. But you always get a dozen people who want to jump on there and say, oh, you're breaking the law. You're not supposed to be out of line. Yeah, not interested.
Why is that? Why is there always that? If you're sitting there flying that thing, why do they feel that it's okay to come up and start talking to you or tap you on the shoulder?
Well, the answer is, I think I said this the other day, I used to have sandwich boards that said, drone operations do not approach, never worked. I now have sandwich boards that say COVID-19 positive. No one comes anywhere near.
That's actually smart.
I told you I got that. I got that stupid green vest from Amazon that says, licensed FAA drone pilot. I put that thing on, and it's like a whole new world. The police, I went out on a job, and the police were actually come up to me, says, is there anything we can do for you? Can we clear the traffic away over here?
That's true. I actually had a Brevard County sheriff stop traffic so I could cross the street with a drone.
You wear that jacket, man. You're an official.
Yes. I said, no, I don't need that. He goes, oh, I thought you were taking videos of this event. I said, no, but thank you. But the vest says, please do not disturb. And all that crap on it. But they still come up and ask you crap.
Yeah.
Well, that's because they're coming in front of you and it's behind you. You need to have it all the way around.
Ari, the standard dumb questions at the RC when you're flying RC. How high can it go? How far away can it fly?
How fast?
How much does it cost? How fast does it go?
I always try and answer them. There's actually, I've got a video up that says, it's called Public Relations 101. I had an elderly couple come out while I was flying the Inspire and asked me a few questions, and I always try and answer. And then she asked the one about, but what about privacy concerns? And I thought, right, I'm glad you asked. Watch this. And I brought the drone over. I explained to them the difference between, the field of view and the aperture length and how drone cameras are suited for panoramic views. And I flew it closer and closer and closer and closer. And I said, now you tell me when they were looking in my display. I said, you tell me when you feel that your privacy would be being invaded. And obviously I wasn't able to bring the drone close enough within the regulations.
Right.
So I try, but there are moments when I think to myself, the hardest job I ever did. I got paid to fly 700 meters offshore into the cabin of a beach yacht. They were checking about whether it's salvageable. And I kid you not, I had the drone inside the yacht and somebody came up and started talking to me.
Well, that's what advancement, Steve?
In electronics, period. Because BMAC was talking about the Air 2 only having one IMU with it.
Yeah.
The quality of the electronics nowadays compared to what they used to be, what is it? Yeah, they put it in. There's a point that you're going to have to do. There's a production cost, and there's how much you're going to have. For everything that's out there and the quality of the parts that are coming out these days, reliability is a lot higher than they used to be.
How many does the Mini have?
And there's 3 IMUs and there's 3 GPSs on what Mitch has, and there's 1 on the Mavic Air 2.
How many's on the Mini?
What that tells you is when it gets near at 1.
1?
when it gets near the power lines, it's going to get electromechanical interference.
Mm-hmm.
The
And they
Inspire
do it
does.
they do it for redundancy too. Like the Mavic, look, the Mavic 2s, Pro and Zoom, and even the Mavic Pro both had dual IMUs and dual compasses and dual gyros. How many IMUs does your cell phone have in it? I'm sure it's just got one.
I don't know.
Well, I was
One.
thinking I cannot ever
got
remember
one.
having. I can't ever remember having an IMU or a GPS failure. Obviously, it happens, but I've never had it happen, not once.
No, they haven't. I mean, every cell phone that's been made for the past 10 years has had an IMU in it.
Yeah, but
I mean,
my
if it
aircraft-
didn't have a gyro, it has an IMU, a gyro, a compass, has all the sensors in it. Otherwise, you couldn't use it to play games like this. You know, it wouldn't know what its position was in space. They never fail. They're pretty reliable.
Well,
the
that
reason
is-
that I like the multiple sensors in this is when you're flying a relatively dangerous, big, powerful machine around, you just want it just gives you a little warm fuzzy to know you got some redundancy.
Oh, for sure.
In the systems, and
Yeah,
that's
and it comes down to the fact of production wise. You know, you can only put so much in without raising the costs. And everything that I looked at as far as specs that's in that Air 2 for the price, it's got almost 85 to 90% of what the Mavic Pro has in it. At half the
85
cost.
to 90%. It's got the IMX 586 sensor, which I showed you months ago with the pixel binning and the 0.06 pixel size, sensor size. And that's how it's getting the 48 megapixels, just like the Autel Evo.
Right.
Same situation.
No, I know that. And it we'll wait and see what it is. And I'm just going to go out there and try it and use it and see how well it works. I can always sell it and move up to what I'm looking for.
I
But
think
don't
you love
forget.
it, Steve. You know,
Go ahead, Ari.
if you're going to operate commercially, obviously you're not going to buy an Air or something like Air 2 or something like that. But for somebody who just wants to do what most of the people here do, which is create content for YouTube or so forth, the Mavic Pro 2 is no different. It line skips or pixel bins or whatever you want to call it, but it's still, when you forget all about the technicalities and you just look at the image on the screen, you go, wow, that's nice. I'll make a YouTube video. And that's probably 80% plus of their customer base. So it wouldn't do
if not more.
I reckon
If
Steve
not more.
Yeah, Steve will love it.
I think it's going to be a good drone. I think it will be, of course, just like any other drone that comes out, there's going to be firmware updates. There's going to be glitches here and there. I'm expecting that. Look at the Mavic Pro. Look at all the updates and problems it had when it first came out. So, I mean, it's going to be out there no matter what.
But that's
look, I'm not a DJI fanboy. You know, you don't see me on my channel making videos reviewing DJI. I'm just not. But I have a lot of respect for the technology in that company, and the FPV goggles and air units that they have revolutionized the FPV hobby for me. So I do have a lot of respect for them. I'm not going to ever poo-poo. They make great products, better than most.
Where they rule is in marketing, and that's why all of my stuff is DJI, Mitch, because when it comes to service, support, they're the only show in town in Australia. I'm probably going to buy an Evo 2, although I'm not as sure as I was because the cameras are a bit of an unknown at this point. But, I'd like to have something outside of the DJI ecosystem. But I've got 3 Phantom 4 professionals and one is currently not flying, because if one goes down, I need to have another one. And the beauty is with DJI, at least I can put it in at the dealer and get it looked at allegedly fairly quickly. If I was one of these people that had brought in the Skydio, for example, God forbid, I'd have to send it back to the US for service.
Yeah. Do they have service centers?
DJI do. Yeah, DJI do here.
Skydio.
I don't, only in the US, and they officially do not support anything outside of North America at the moment.
Oh, you can't even buy it. Can you
No.
buy it?
No, a couple of people do have them here, but they, had them purchased by friends in the US and shipped out.
They're shipping within a day or two for the V2s.
And whereas, even, I think they've sold out 4 shipments on the Skydio. That's to the end of 21, maybe. So even if they open them up for sales in Australia, we're not going to see Skydio available from a dealer here until the end of 2022. And we all know that DJI, Autel, Hudson are all going to have their answer to that technology on the market well before that.
Yeah, we're just BSing now.
Yeah. Isn't that the recipe for a perfect live stream, Jim? 40% facts and 60% BS and speculation.
And don't forget the variables. We got to put it at a 0.5, so we have the fluctuation of variables in between.
Well, maybe we should rate drone channels. They should be made to put a little rating. 40% BS, 60. I mean, some of the well-known channels would be 99.95% BS and speculation.
I like a channel where people help each other and they're not afraid that nothing is a state secret. How I do this or how I do that. I don't understand why some people keep that like a closely guarded secret.
I don't think I do anything that well that I have to hide anything. And I fully admit, Dan was saying before, Ari probably knows. Well, yeah, I probably do know a bit. I've got multiple trades and I'm not the bluntest knife in the drawer, but you know what? I am still the first person to ask somebody else for help. Because if they've been there and done that before me, that puts them ahead of me. I don't care if I've got 10 degrees.
Why reinvent the wheel?
That's it. Yeah. I'll tell anybody anything that I've learned, and I like to ask people. At that point, Jim, I've got to shoot through. It's 1 in the afternoon here. I've got a few things to do. Check that the kids are doing their schooling online and be intimidating and all that sort of jazz.
Thanks very much for having me on. Good to see you, Harry. Good to see you.
Oh, I got to blood the new computer here, so it's great. I know it's all working. So thanks, Jim, Steve, Mitch, everybody in the chat.
Take
care. God bless everyone.
Same to you, sir.
Take care.
Glad he came on. Glad he got that new system running.
Yeah.
I'm Seems jealous. To be holding up well. Now I got to build me a bigger system.
Mitch, after what I've been through with that 265, I got to do something. I can't stay with this laptop.
There's a fix to that, Jim. Don't do 265.
Oh. Steve. Man, I left it in. I forgot. And that brings me back to the point of what we said 2 hours ago, that DJI is so good that they show you the regular screen. If you were in 265 Hyperlight Gamma and they showed you the actual picture, we'd all be bitching because we can't see the color. Why am I seeing this?
Yeah, why am I seeing this washed out?
Okay, I have a question. Why are you shooting in 265?
I wanted to play with the 10-bit color. I wanted to color correct the footage. And I found it was a ridiculously long experience.
You can color correct still in 264.
Yeah, it's 8-bit color, though.
It's 8-bit color. I wanted 10-bit Hyperlight Gamma, HDR, super duper, top of the line.
GTO, man, the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Yep. No, I figured I'd just try it out, but I forgot I left it in that mode. And
I don't know about you, Steve. On my drone, when I fly my Mavic 2 Pro, it says auto. Auto.
Probably 80% of the time. Same way.
I throw an ND8 on it usually, okay, which brings the shutter speed down a little bit, which is what I like. And I go up there and auto, and I get, most of the time I don't even have to color correct it. They're good at their and maybe if I was doing it for some Hollywood studio, it would be a different deal.
Oh,
but I'm just doing it for me and throwing it on YouTube. So
yeah, it's not like you're going after the video of the year award for the Academy Awards short film. Or
Yeah.
No, I wasn't either, guys. But I was just trying to. I don't do a lot of color grading. I wanted to use it. I wanted to get into it. I didn't mean to shoot the whole damn day with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell you that you're in that, It's in your settings, of course, because you said
if you look, you have to.
But it's not at the top of the screen saying, "Hey, idiot, you're in 265."
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Bob, he's trying to stay ahead of the game. But what I want to see him go through is like going to come out with the brand new Inspire 3. And it's going to be a 16K camera on board. And then I want to see Jim try to use 265 and process it. And then I want to see how he's going to play it back.
Yeah. Or store it. Where are you gonna store this stuff? You remember the old days, Steve? You're old enough to remember when digital photography first came out.
Sure.
Well, my first digital camera was a Sony that used a 3.5-inch floppy drive.
Really?
I still have it. Floppy disk drive. A 1 megabyte floppy disk drive, and I still have it in a box. This camera, and you could store 20 or 30 snapshots on this 1 megabyte floppy drive.
Right.
And that was big time back then.
Yeah.
Now you take one of these HDR 48 megabit, you're talking 20, 30, 40 megabytes per picture.
Yeah. I've got
for
gigabytes.
one still image, for just a still image.
My new 90D shoots at 32, almost 33 megapixels. Almost 33 megapixel. And you're shooting raw on this God, what do they call it? It shoots raw and JPEG both at the same time. The combination images are right at about 24 point some odd gig to shoot it.
Holy gigabyte.
No, I'm sorry.
Megabyte.
I'm sorry. No, megabytes.
Yeah, that's a lot of data
per shot.
When I first started in computers, back in the old Radio Shack days, and I had a Model
TRS-80.
2. Yeah, remember the Model 2? The Model 2 was the one they came out with for the commercial, and it was a big deal because it used 8-inch floppy drives, and you could have a bank of 4 of these 8-inch floppy drives as storage. Okay, and I think maybe you had a total of 20 megabytes between all of them, and then they came out with a hard drive, and I'll never forget this. And this was back in the early 1970s, and they came out with a 10 megabyte hard drive. Think about this: 10 megabyte hard drive. It cost $5,000 for a 10 megabyte hard drive, and it was in a cabinet about this wide.
Yeah,
about this tall. And I was writing software at the time. I had a little business going where I was developing accounting software for the Radio Shack because nobody had it. They had Lotus 123 and a word processor, but no accounting stuff. Yeah. So I was actually writing, simple accounting stuff for this Model 2, and the guys at the Radio Shack stores all over Florida would call me when they had a customer they were trying to sell one of these computers for, and I would come in and I would make the software because they really didn't have anything useful for it. And I had a pretty good time for a year or two until the stuff took off, and they started, the software started to get big and commercial. Yeah. But I had to buy one of these hard drives, and then I had a big aluminum foam padded suitcase that I got to carry it around as I traveled around to show it off because I kept my software on the hard drive. And and I look today at the 256 terabyte SD card in a cell phone.
I know. Well, I remember our high school in 1970. We were given a Raytheon computer. It stood the height of a desk, like a keyboard desk height. Yeah. It stood that high, stood off the wall by 3.5 feet, and it was I would say it had to be at least not about 16 inches wide, 64K of memory. And that was our computer that was given to our school. And then, of course, they had the teletype tape punch system they'd use for the programming.
Yeah, they didn't even have monitors on them. You would type into a thing, and then it would type it back out. When I grew up in Philly at the museum called the Franklin Institute, which is a science museum, we were nerds, so we used to go there on the weekends, and they had one of the first Univacs in the basement. It took up the whole base of vacuum tubes, and hand wired donut memory, magnetic donut memory core.
Yeah. Because
there's more power in this cell phone than there was in 1,000 of those Univacs put together.
Probably more power in the watch than there is in
no
that.
doubt about it. No doubt about it. But it was awesome. It was awesome to see it, and they would show you how this thing would add. It could add numbers and divide numbers, and
well, TRW Systems, Thomas Randall Williams, was a big test site down here that did a lot of stuff for the space industry. Another, like out here, they tested all the lunar rockets for this Apollo space mission for the landers. All the rockets were tested out here, and the lunar rover was tested out here.
The lunar module was made on Long Island at the Grumman Corporation.
Yeah, no, this is just the engines.
Are made out there. Yeah.
Yeah, the engines were all tested out here. And when they would run through their system as a test to find out if it worked on an old barcode, a line printing printer, it would print out a profile of a young lady sitting naked with long hair sitting on a bar stool. And all the X's going across as it went through the program. And that's how they knew if it came out without a mistake, that means it was good to go for the test.
That was their test pattern, huh?
Oh, man. And now, and that's why honestly, sometimes I think that it's getting a little out of hand when you brought that to mind when you start talking about 16K video, Steve.
It's out there.
I have to roll my eyes at.
But it's out there.
At what point does it get to a point where we don't need it?
Yeah,
it has no
it's the movie industry
use anymore.
The movie industry is using it, and so they use it, and then of course they're cropping in and everything else, so it comes up for their, digital productions that they're, whether it be 3D imaging, but I mean, red cameras are 8 and they got 16, and you get into the high-end productions for the movie industry. That's a lot of stuff there is 16.
But there's still guys out there that are using film. They won't shoot on anything but film.
Can you still get it anymore?
Yeah, they still there are some Hollywood guys that still shoot on film.
I have cameras from my father in the house. I don't remember the name of the camera. That I can't quote it to you right now, but I have cameras from my father that are film, obviously.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know if you could get that anymore. This is what I was saying, Mitch. Was a 35 millimeter full frame camera back then? Are today's DSLRs better than them or not? They were taking full frame, way back when.
It depended back then. It depended more on the photographer, because everything was pretty much manual. If you had an automatic exposure, you were lucky on back in the day. You still had that manual focus.
Yeah.
But some cameras had light meters, and what happens is the light meter would in the viewfinder would move to a certain point, and then you would rotate the F ring until the matching thing went over and lined up with it. but it didn't do it
Just
all by itself. It wasn't point and shoot.
Yeah.
And you had to think
and you were
more.
using manual light meters a lot of times if you were doing.
Of course, I still have them.
Stuff.
I still have a couple of very expensive manual light meters because and you didn't. And when you took a picture back then, you knew it was going to cost you money because you had a roll of film in the camera that had 20 or 36 exposures. You were going to have to get it processed. So you took time and put thought
into a picture,
into every friggin' picture, and sat there and judged the lighting. And in that respect, the photographers of those days, their work, when you look at books of their pictures, blow away the crap that people are shooting today.
This is what I was asking. That's what I was alluding to.
Yeah, because it isn't so much that you could take one of the world's greatest photographers, give him a piece of shit camera, and he'll come up with better stuff than anybody with the latest
It's like Ron Lockwood. It's like Ron Lockwood. You give him the camera and what'll come out. Or Kenny Cardoso. You give it to Kenny. And then I've got my new camera now. I'm going to go shoot. And it's like I'd give him my old Instamatic and he'd be putting out stuff better than this thing ever will.
He does a lot with that 1080p camera. He does.
Yeah. He really does. Neil, they actually made 70 millimeter in the IMAX films. Those are 70 millimeter films.
That was
most
4K.
of the stuff
that was 4K compared to 35 millimeter. 70 millimeter was 4K.
Yeah.
Four times the
size.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Steve, that's what I was getting to. Like, Steve, you just bought a new Canon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like this new sensor that's coming out that you guys are all talking, it's just a 12 megapixel sensor.
Right.
Your camera, your DSLR puts out 24 megapixels or better.
Yeah. 32 point something, whatever.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. And these guys in the old days were working with full frame 35 millimeter. There were no restrictions to it. And, you go back in the archives and their photos are still fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Well, film.
What are we trying to do?
Jim, the resolution of film is incredible because you're talking about microscopic grains of silver that are much smaller than the what we call pixels today.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when you got some fine grained film, you could blow a 35 millimeter negative up to a billboard size and still have a fairly sharp image.
Yeah, depends on the film you were using, obviously, because actually a lot of photographers used the slide film instead of just using print film.
Yeah,
because then they could blow it up into a better image out of the slide film.
Ektachrome and Kodachrome. Remember those two different.
I shot the whole Sistine Chapel with my old Canon, which I had a 50 millimeter 1.2 lens, because no flashes inside the church. I sat there and just braced myself up in the column, pointed up. I shot that whole entire ceiling, not knowing what I was going to have. I got home, every single one of those images was just sharp as a tack with that lens. And in fact, I found out now there's a guy that may want to buy it. He goes, well, take a look and come up with a price. And this other guy that was in the store when I was in there, it was just a UPS store where I have my mailbox at. And he goes, you better look at the price of that, Steve, and really, really scrutinize it. I go, why? He says, that lens now I saw it sold for $4,500 for the 50 millimeter 1.2.
Oh, well, they did. And some of that old Leica glass, Hasselblad glass. There are guys today that are adapting some of those old lenses to the new DSLRs because the lenses are just so good.
Yeah. It is. And you pick up that lens, the lens was it was over 2 times the weight of the body.
Yeah.
For just the lens.
But something, why are we so ingrained today with megapixels. How many megapixels per picture? When
oh my God!
It never
Hold on,
mattered.
Brett, hold on, Brett. Tornado siren's going, man. Get down, go. Be safe.
Holy Christ!
Yeah, wow.
Mel was saying that they had it too.
Really?
Tornado warnings.
This weather has been astronomical lately.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jen. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine, man.
You were asking why the
We're so wrapped up in megapixels now.
well, it's like everything else, Jim. You know, whatever the current state of something is, if you want to sell things, you got to come up with something bigger and better and faster, and you know, so if I'm a manufacturer and I'm selling something with 20 megapixels, then
That's what it all comes down to.
Glass.
The glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could take an old AE1, and if this lens would fit on it, it would still shoot phenomenal pictures on it. Canon that I had, and it just depends on the glass. That's what it all comes down to. You can get an old camera. You've got good glass. You can still shoot. If you're shooting anywhere above 18 megapixels, you're going to be shooting phenomenal quality.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we still can take pictures from the old days and put them on TV now, and they're perfect and they're beautiful. They weren't obsessed with megapixels. They were taking
because they were shooting film, and a piece of 35 millimeter film. If you try to compare a pixel to the size of a pixel to the size of a grain of silver on the film, God knows the film probably would be what, 100 megapixels, 200 megapixels,
easy,
incredibly fine resolution on film. Film is still because it's analog. Film is analog, and digital is just basically dots. You know,
yeah,
so
exactly.
how small can you make the dots and still make them react to electricity and change colors and pick up things? But when you're looking at an emulsion on a piece of film, you're talking about molecule sizes. So when we start making pixels down around the size of molecules, then we'll have the resolution of film, I think. And that's why
I guess it's getting ready to head towards Chris in an hour.
Oh, wow.
And into Oklahoma.
Is that the National Weather Center? What is that? The Hurricane Center?
No, just go to the National Tornado Center.
Is that what it is?
Tornado watch tonight, 11 p.m. I'm looking right between. I just brought up one.
Any warnings? Any warnings up yet?
I got to get over to the Tornado Center. Oh wow! I just saw the image across here. Look at this map. Let's see. It's flat. Oh, now it's flashing back and forth. You sucker.
What are you looking at?
Weather.gov.
I'm looking at the National Weather Service, tracking tornadoes. Oh, wow, that's a wide swath.
Look at that.
All the way from Texas on up to the
right there, Jim. If you can share that.
Yeah, let me share that. And that's just a piece of it. That's going up to the whole nation.
Yeah. This is of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Look at the radar if you can, Chris Hope says. Texas to Indiana. Yes, Chris, I see that.
That's the radar image is what I'm looking at.
I'm looking at the tornado tracking site you told me to go to, Steve. And
okay.
That's showing the activity chart going up to looks like Michigan to me, going all the way to hell up.
This is there's my mouse, but you can see where Tulsa is, and then move it on down from there. So that could be up towards Lloyd. Where's Muskogee? There. Oh, he's up above it there. He's clear, but it's down more towards Chris. Let me see if I can bring up the.
You see that one there, Steve?
Which one?
The one I'm showing now?
Let me unshare. Oh yeah, yeah. That's the tornado.
Yeah, that's a tornado website. Looks like it's clear up to Michigan there. Oh well. Let me stop sharing. Okay.
Well, stay safe, everybody.
Yeah, let's end this. We went.
Oh, it's only 11:15.
I know, my God. I haven't even. Yeah, Chris, that is crazy.
Oh, yeah, man. Look at
it's south of Lloyd, I think, Rick, because Muskogee was up a little bit above it.
I'm looking at that red section. That's a pretty big, wide swath. That MRT stands for severe storms begin with marginal level and increase to slight. And then I don't know. They got all these terms.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Let's get over there and pop that baby up.
That's El Dorado at the bottom in the middle.
Is that Little Rock?
The old John Wayne movie.
Little Rock, right?
Yeah. Little Rock is right there where the radar is.
Dead center. Yeah.
Yeah. It's coming that way.
Where is Lloyd?
He's above it. He's from there. He's west and north.
Chris Hope says the Phantom can handle it.
Yeah. The Mini. Take the Mini out. Take the Mini out. You end up in the land of Oz, man. Be careful.
Jody says, get the drones out.
I'll come back to me. Make me small again.
Okay.
There we go.
I'm just northeast of Little Rock. What are you watching from the basement now?
All right.
Yeah.
Jim, it's getting late.
Oh, Chris Hope says Oklahoma, the Muskogee area. And Bob Casey says the same thing.
Oh, wow.
Really? Well, hope for the best.
Yeah, him and Judy, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, guys, we had a great night, and thanks for coming. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Hey, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for having it.
I'm going
Always good to get together with you. Always good to get together with you guys.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. I will see you on Thursday night.